Alrighty, alrighty, alrighty. Jesus is the only way. Big up yourself, brother. Big up yourself. Yeah, we back, oh Darty. We back, we back, we back. I thank you, my darling. Thank you. I am well. God is good. I hope you are well as well. Big up yourself, Nick. Big up yourself, Jen. How you doing, sister? Yes, it is a slur. It is very much a slur. Jen, sister, sister Jen. Hey Nick, big up, big up, big up, big up BMG. Yes, we back, love. Jen, can you make a backboard with Natalie on it? Where she's saying big up times up. Where it says Natalie B Fitness opens women's only gym and trans people are upset, or it upsets the trans community. Yeah, put Natalie B Fitness opens women's only gym that upsets the trans community, right? And put on it as well, cis is a slur. But get a photo of Natalie and send it to me and I can put it up. Thank you, sister. Put cis is a slur on it as well. And it's a slur because it's an insult. Thank you, Twinkle. No problem, Jen. Take as much time as you need, darling. I appreciate you. Hello, send it through Discord thingy if you can, Jen. Hello.
Guys, how's it going?
It's going great. God is good. How old are you for Tickety Talk?
26.
Awesome, awesome. How can I assist you?
Well, I just noticed the prompt. I'm not really saying that like it's something I support, but at the same time, I don't see it as a slur. Doesn't it just mean like you're born, you identify with the gender that you're born?
No.
Oh, okay. What does it mean then?
From what I understand of cis, it's a biochemistry term that describes like molecules, DNA structures, or strains. I don't see what it has to do with me being an adult human female.
Yeah, it's like I do think it's unnecessary, but c can we say because something's unnecessary, it's a slur?
Yes. If it's a terminology that is unnecessary, right, which would make it redundant, then I don't need to be called that. And you perpetually wanting to call me that, you're doing it to antagonize me. And in using a word to antagonize me, you're using it to demean me, which would make it a slur.
I can see like that perspective. I personally wouldn't agree with it, but I can understand like why people would find it annoying. I find it annoying personally, but
I find it insulting.
yeah, I would only find it insulting if they say that we're privileged. Um, but other than that, I just think it's like one of those unnecessary terms
Yeah, you
that
wanting to take away my womanhood. It's insulting to me after all that I've been through as a woman. You wanting to equate me with a man in a frock is insulting and demeaning.
I would probably say it's extreme members of the community who would say things like that. Like comparing you with a frog or something. I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know
a man in a
personally any.
frock. A man in a frock. If you're saying that I'm a cis woman, you're saying that there are other types of women, which would include men in frocks, which is insulting and demeaning. There's no subcategory for women. It's an adult human female per descriptor.
What's up?
Espario, or old are you?
26.
How can I help you, sir?
Yeah, I'm wondering where you got your definition for cis from.
The actual definition, cis, which is a Latin prefix that has been used in science, specifically biochemistry, means on this side. And the definition, I'm sorry, how it is used in science, in biochemistry, is to denote like molecules, DNA structures, or strains.
And you literally mean CIS, not cisgender,
Yes,
but CIS as it's like
cis
on
is
it.
the term. Yes, the term cisgender.
But the term cisgender has a different definition.
The term cisgender isn't used in science. It's a social term. I'm just saying it for
Social
you,
science
the way
exists.
that you want it to be used.
Social science exists.
Social science isn't really science, darling.
So just because you don't understand it, it doesn't count as a real science.
I understand it, and that's why I know it's not science.
And what credit, like, what credibility do you have to say such a thing?
The fact that I actually know science a little bit, to
What do
know
you mean
that
a little
people
bit?
in academia or especially in medicine don't consider sociology a quote unquote science.
Could you give me literally any credible source that suggests that social science is not a real science? Like
Because
at
what does it
all?
focus on, sweetie? What does it focus on? What does sociology focus on?
The different aspects of society and the way that humans interact with each other.
Okay, wonderful. What is medicine?
How broad are we talking?
I'm speaking in general terms, sweetie. What is medicine?
Best I could say, if we're talking about medicine as like a practice, it would be like the science or practice of diagnosis, like treatment and prevention of different diseases. That's one definition I could give you.
And how we do, or what do we use to come to that understanding? Science, right?
Yes,
So what is science?
like the scientific method.
What is science in itself? You can Google it. Go ahead, we'll wait.
Sure. A systematic study of the structure and behavior of the physical and natural world through observation, experimentation, and the test of theories against the evidence obtained.
So basically, the physiology of living specimens.
Structure and behavior. Behavior would be behavioral science
Yeah,
or
yeah, how the body behaves.
no, behavior as in how things behave.
All right, so I'm gonna ask you something.
Yeah.
In actual medicine, do we look at sociology? If a patient comes into the emergency, I'm sorry, I'm not laughing at you. If a patient comes into the emergency room and is acting sporadically, right? Are we gonna check out this person's social pattern, or are we gonna look at the person's physiology? Hey, Olivia, right? Which one
I
are we
would
gonna
imagine
look
if
at?
they're in the ER, we're gonna look for some type of like physical issue first.
A physical issue that has to do with their what?
Their body.
Their body. So we're gonna run a couple of tests.
Real quick. Do you think
So
that medicine
we're
is
gonna run a
a form
couple
of
of
science?
tests. So we're gonna run a couple of tests, right? Big up yourself, Jesselyn. How you doing, baby?
Do you think that so is
So
astrophysics a
can
science
you
since it doesn't have
answer
to
the
do with
question,
medicine?
please? Can you answer the question? Are we
We're getting
gonna run a
away from
couple
the
of
topic.
no, 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 we're not getting away from the topic. This is the topic. Are we gonna
Yeah,
run
if
a
you're
couple of
saying some type of
tests?
real
Are we
quick.
going to, sir,
Yes,
if
we
you're
will
gonna
run
crash
tests.
out,
Yeah.
if
We will
you're
run
gonna
tests.
run, you just need to leave. So we're gonna run a couple of tests, right?
Yes, we will run tests.
Mm-hmm. We're not gonna take out the check out the person's mental state, right?
Depends on what they're going through. It depends on what the symptoms are.
Even if the person is coming in and saying that shadow people are inhabiting their body, we're not gonna check on the person's psychology. We would
They do get a
refer
psych
this
eval.
person to a
They get a psych
specialist.
eval for that. Yeah.
Exactly. So science doesn't have
You know what a
anything
psych
to do
eval
with.
is?
I don't know. Tell me what a psych evaluation is.
Literally, quote unquote testing them by asking them various questions to see if
Who
what they're
tests
actually
them?
experiencing aligns with reality.
Who tests them?
Usually a form of psychologist.
All right. Thank you. So as I was saying, in medicine, we do not test a person's psychology. We have health professionals who do that, who study behavioral patterns, right? So we in medicine, we don't really concentrate on that. We leave
Can I
that
ask you a
to
question?
the soft science.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure, sir.
Is astrophysics considered science?
What is astrophysics?
Are you serious?
I
I'll,
don't know. I've never heard that word before. What is astrophysics?
I'll give you. I don't want to speculate nothing. I will give you a
No, no,
literal.
no. You can go ahead and give us the exact definition.
Yeah. Astrophysics is a branch of space science that applies the laws of physics and chemistry to seek understanding of the universe and our place in it.
Oh, does science use physics?
Physics is a type of science, yes.
Oh, when you're
I'm
studying
asking you,
medicine,
do
do
you
you
know what
use physics?
astrophysics is?
When
Because
you're
it
studying
seems
medicine,
like
do you study physics?
I have studied physics. Why?
I'm asking you, people in science, in actual medicine, do they study physics?
The issue that I'm having is
Please answer the question. Please answer the question. I really don't have time for the deflection.
people in
People
medicine
who study
typically are not
medicine,
studying
do
physics.
they study physics? Is physics a part of the sciences?
Physics is a part of the sciences,
All
yes.
right. Oh my goodness, you're so smart.
The issue that I have is you're speaking as if medicine is the only way we look at science.
We look at science in a broad spectrum that doesn't encompass or doesn't allow for feelings. In medicine, I can't rely on my feeling. I have to treat the patient accordingly. So
Yes,
that's
we're
why
talking about
in
medicine again.
psychology, that's why psychology isn't considered a science. It's sociology, sir.
You're talking about
Feelings
it
are
as if it
subjugated to
has to deal
change.
with physical medicine.
Medicine. If I go based off my feelings or the patient's feeling in medicine, I can lose my license to practice. I can be sued. The patient life can be in jeopardy.
It
And
depends on what
and the
science
person
you're
can,
working under.
yes, sociology. We don't count on that for any type of medicine. Sorry.
You could literally become a sociology major in college.
Yeah. That's just toilet paper as a degree.
So you just get to dictate what science is real science.
I don't dictate. This is like what most person who actually work in healthcare think about sociology.
That's untrue because doctors all over the country, all over the world, will push for you to get different forms of like help that's been basically pushed by sociology. If you're
Yeah.
not doing well, if you're
What type
depressed
of
and stuff like
healthcare?
that, before
What
they
type
go
of
to you,
healthcare do doctors recommend you get if you come in with a punctured lung in sociology?
there's no connection between sociology and a punctured lung. Like again, it seems like you're making the argument that if it doesn't have to do with physical medicine, it's not
Sir,
science because
medicine
of the physical
encompasses
thing.
your body, your physiology. That's what science is. It
Science isn't just
studies
medicine.
everything that encompasses your body, the organisms, everything around that. Sociology is based upon your feelings. Feelings are
Science is not
subjugated
just
to change,
medicine.
sir. Sir, Feelings are subjugated to change. If a patient comes in to the emergency room and says, "Nurse, nurse, nurse, there are shadow people walking in and out of my body," I can't use my time to sit down with that person and ask the person, when did the shadows come in? Right? How many of them are in there? I'm gonna open your chest. I'm gonna call the doctor to let the doctor open your chest and physically. I can't do that. Okay, you need somebody to talk to. That's something one with your brain, your feelings. Go see a therapist. Go see a psychologist. You can't come in an emergency room with that bullshit. That's what I'm telling you. Sociology and psychology has its own, you know, classification
It's
outside of
science.
medicine. We don't take that as science, sir.
Not all
You're
science
angry.
is
You're
medicine.
angry. Sociology is not actual science.
That's why I brought up astrophysics.
Psychology is not actual
Not all science
science.
is medicine.
Sir,
Not all science is
medicine,
physical medicine.
what is the definition of science? You just
I
read out
just
what
read it to
science
you.
is.
I
You just
literally
read
just
out
read it
what
to you.
science is, and now you're telling me that not all science is medicine. Sir,
I
I don't
literally
have
read
time
it.
for
You
this.
asked me to look it up, and I read
Sir,
it to
I
you.
don't have time for this. Even the definition doesn't include your feelings, sir. I'm sorry.
The definition of science doesn't include medicine either.
The definition of science doesn't include medicine.
I literally read it to you. You asked me to
Sir,
read
do
it to
you
you.
understand what you read? Can you actually read, or do you just say the words?
I will read it again. You can point out to me exactly where medicine comes into just the definition of science. The
Not all
systematic study
science is
of the
medicine.
structure and
Science is
behavior of the
medicine.
physical and natural world through observation, experimentation, and the test of theories against the evidence obtained. Now, which part of that
Okay, okay, okay,
follows
okay, okay,
medicine?
okay. Our experiments. What type of experiments are you conducting in this science you're talking about?
That's such a broad. You could literally do experiments for just about any natural phenomenon.
I'm gonna ask you again. All right. What type of experiments are they referring to?
Literally all experimentation.
Like what? Name some.
Like I don't know, science volcanoes, like science fair volcanoes, where you're using baking soda and vinegar. Literally seeing the chemical reaction unfurl. That's an experiment.
And that's a what type of experiment?
It's a chemical experiment that has nothing to do with medicine.
And the chemicals. Do we have to understand the nature of the chemicals
Yes,
and not how the chemicals feel?
they're chemicals. They don't have feeling. Mhm.
All right. Thank you for your time. You have a wonderful day.
Same to you, I guess.
Uh, oh, Janko Jesus. Oh, oh, oh my God. Somebody said he cooked you. Now you just laughing. Oh my goodness. Bless their hearts. Bless their hearts. Do you know what happens with that type of experiment? You have to look up the nature of the elements that you're using. You have to study the nature, the makeup, the compounds that make up each different chemical that you're using. Using actual science, not feelings. Physics are involved. Biology, chemistry, everything is involved. You want to compare medicine to somebody's feelings. Talking about he cooked. Plant science is science. Yes, plant science is science because, oh my God, plants are living organisms. Plants are living things. You study the makeup of it. My freaking God. Blood clean. M4, I catch on the lingo. Is hetero a slur? What is hetero? I've never heard that before. Can you imagine telling a neurosurgeon that a psychologist practices actual medicine, actual science? Madness. If you tell me that you went to school for 4 years to get a sociology degree, I'm just going to laugh at you. A psychologist does practice medicine. We're speaking on sociology, dear darling. We're speaking on sociology. I've got several new accounts. I wonder if they know what actual doctors thinks about, like, let me shut up. Do they know what actual doctors think about, like, oh, oh my God. Are there any other customers? We don't have any customer. Hello, how old are you?
Oh, I'm 25.
How can I assist you?
Okay, I just had a quick question for the prompt here. So, you think the term cisgender is a slur?
Um, I think the term cis in correlation to who I am is a slur to me, yeah.
Could you tell me why you believe that?
Because it's insulting. Who talks? How old are you?
I'm 56.
All right, can you mute for a second until I'm
So,
the other
the
guest?
fact so
Yeah, I'm chill.
so are we saying just because something insults that you feel offended by that term, that's what makes it a slur? Is that what you're saying?
Me as an individual, no. It has to do with the collective. If the collective of persons being called the word find it offensive, yeah.
So terms like, for example, like me calling someone like fat or ugly, are those slurs?
No, I'm fat. Can't be a slur if I'm physically unappealing based on societal standards of beauty. It can't be a slur. That's
But
just describing my actual physiology. But if you're gonna make up a word to
people get
describe
offended by those terms,
ugly,
though.
hold on, sweetie. If you're gonna make up a word to describe ugly, to describe the group of people that do not fit into the social standard of what you call pretty, then that word can become a slur to the group of people that you're using it to categorize.
So, because a term offends a certain, so then so you're saying it offends you, and that's what makes it a slur. So then if I call someone fat or ugly and that offends them, those could
Did
be
you
also considered
did you
slurs.
not just hear what I
No,
said?
I heard exactly what you said. You said if it
Okay.
offends a large group of
All
people,
right.
if I
So
walk
if
in a
what
room
does fat
full of
mean? What
people
does
and I
fat
call them
mean?
fat and
Shush, 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 shush,
ugly,
shush. What does fat mean?
well, overweight is the term.
All right.
Fat
So
is
if
an offensive term.
is that a medical terminology? Is being overweight,
You will call
can
someone who is
that be
overweight.
diagnosed medically? Being overweight, can that be diagnosed medically?
But fat is not the term for it. Overweight
Answer the
is. So if you call someone
question.
fat, you're insulting them.
Answer
So
the
in your logic,
question. Answer the
in
question. If you
what is
are
your question?
overweight,
Ask
can
your
that be?
question again. What is your question?
All right, guys, you can keep this one. I don't have time for this. Next guest. Good day. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, my thoughts are the complete opposite to that last person. Yeah, I agree. Cis is definitely a slur. Unfortunately, this day and age, stupid people have access to these platforms now where they can just make up whatever they want, believe whatever they want, and yeah, cis is definitely a slur.
Facts, brother, facts. And you have a wonderful day. I'm going to talk to this opposition.
Yeah, all right, I can't.
All right, big up. Beautiful accent, by the way.
Thank you.
Welcome, welcome. Hello, good day. How old are you?
I'm 50.
Awesome. How can I assist you?
Well, I disagree with your statement. I was born a woman, assigned female at birth. I align with my gender, and I have no problem with the term cis. So I guess I'm wondering, with who are you saying? You said like if the group considers it a slur, but who is the group? Because I'm a woman and I don't find it offensive.
Oh, congratulations to you. Firstly, nobody's assigned their gender at birth by a doctor. You are a woman or a man based on the genitals that you were born with, or rather, a boy or a girl, depending on the genitals that you were born with. So if you were born with female reproductive organs, the doctors make an observation based on that, and they write that in their notes.
Right,
Okay?
that's an assignation though. That's the assigned female means
No,
that
they
they.
can't assign you. The
It's just
doctors
a
don't
medical
assign.
term. It's a medical term. I'm a
The
nurse.
doctors can't assign your biology. Sorry, the
So
doctors make a note of your biology. There's
in
a
this
difference.
context, though, the word assign just means to document your gender.
Yeah,
It's
no.
based on your genitals, based on what they observe.
If it meant to document your gender, you would say that. You saying a sign implies that the doctors decided that you were a boy or a girl, right?
It comes from
That's
the
the
word
connotation that you're
assignation, like
once.
ASSIGNATION. It is a medical term. I am a nurse. It doesn't
I'm
mean
gonna
that they're
ask you
making
again,
up your
nurse. I'm gonna
gender.
ask you something, nurse.
Sure.
You saying that the doctors assigned you, right?
I'm just
Your
saying that
gender.
the
No,
semantic.
nurse. We're gonna talk a little bit about medicine. You
Sure.
saying that the doctors assign you your gender, right? When it comes to gender ideology, is that implying that the doctors gave you your gender, or did the
No.
doctors make an observation on your gender and made a note of it? Which
What
one
I'm
are you saying?
what I'm saying is the word assign in this
I'm
context,
gonna
the
ask you
semantics of it.
again.
I'm
I'm gonna
answering your
ask you.
question. I'm answering your
I
question,
asked a specific question, ma'am. I'm gonna
and
ask it
I'm trying to
again.
answer it, but you're interrupting me.
Yes, I'm gonna interrupt you if you're trying to deflect. I'm gonna ask you again.
I'm not
In the
deflecting.
connotation of gender identity, when you're saying that the doctor assigned you your gender at birth, does it not imply that the doctor labeled you girl or boy against your volition?
No. What I'm saying is, in this case, the semantics of the word in a medical definition means that they write based on their observations. Exactly what you were saying.
Oh, so the doctor just made an observation that you were a female.
Based on what they see with your genitals.
Wonderful. So they didn't assign you your gender. They made an observation of your gender.
What I'm saying is, in this case, the word assign is used in the medical community to mean document your observations.
So they document. Isn't that what I've been saying?
That's what I was trying to tell you. It's
No,
the
no,
word
no. You
assign
made it
is
seem-
not
you
used
made
in the
it
same
seem-
context here.
No. You were trying to imply that these doctors labeled you against your own volition, male
No.
or female or
I
boy or
don't have a
girl.
volition as an infant. I don't have a volition. I'm an infant. They write it based on their
Oh
observations.
my goodness,
Sometimes
you're
it's
so smart.
there are some words in the medical community that are used differently than they are colloquially outside of the medical community.
Yeah, but in this instant, the word assign just referred to the doctor making an observation based on your reproductive organs at birth.
Right, which is all they can do. They don't know what my hormones are, they don't know what my genetics are, so they're just based on observation. They say this if they can tell, because sometimes with intersex people it's not always obvious, right?
All right, so with intersexism, what happens with intersexism? Are they different than male and female?
Sometimes genitally it is not obvious what the person's sex is.
I'm going to ask you again. Outside of male and female, are intersex persons different?
They can be, yeah. Well, it's not always obvious whether they're male or female based on the genital presentation.
We're not asking on we're not speaking on the ambiguity of the genitals, even with the ambiguity of the genitals, okay? Right?
Right. So it's hard to tell
Wonderful.
without doing more testing. If
Uh-huh.
you can't tell based on observation from a physical exam, it's not clear what their sex is, right?
All right, so I'm going to ask you something. Again, maybe it's my English. Outside of male and female, are intersex persons different?
It's again, like they can be if you're looking at it, it depends on what you're talking about. Are you talking about their like chromosome levels? We'd have to do blood work for that. I'm just saying when
Are
the baby's born,
intersex persons different than male and female?
yes, they can be. They're not always like male XY or
All
female
right.
XX,
What other
right?
SMICs are they? What other SMICs are intersex
There's
persons?
about 16 different chromosomal
Yeah.
differences.
All right. So outside of male and female, what other SMICs are intersex persons?
I'm not sure what you're asking.
Okay, maybe it's my English. Outside
I
of
think it's just I'm not
outside
sure
of
what
the
you're trying
male
to get
and
me to
female
say.
SMICs, outside of the male and female SMICs, what other SMICs are intersex persons?
So you could have like 3 X chromosomes, you could have
Those are
XXY. Like,
chromosomal defects, darling. I'm asking about
right,
SMICs.
and
You're a nurse.
yes, but if you can't tell by their genitalia whether they're male or female, it might be ambiguous unless you do chromosome.
Ambiguous genitals still fall under the category of male and female with
But
intersex
you wouldn't be
conditions,
able
darling.
to by observation tell. So when a
Ma'am,
baby is
ma'am,
born, if they're
ma'am.
intersex, a doctor could not assign their gender,
A doctor still
label them,
assigns their gender. A doctor still assigns their gender after doing rounds of
and
checkups.
sometimes they're
Ma'am,
wrong.
if a baby
Sometimes
is
they're
born,
wrong, right?
ma'am, if a baby is born with ambiguous genitals, the doctors will perform, or the professionals will perform a series of tests, whether using measurements or DNA
Chromosomal,
samples.
right? To look
Even
at
with
their chromosomes. That's what I
even
was
with
saying.
chromosomal defects, they're still male or female. I'm going to ask you again. You said you're a nurse. I'm trusting you here with the argument that you presented, right? Based on your education, outside of male and female, what other SMICs are intersex persons?
So they would assign a sex based on what they guess the person is based on like chromosomal
They
testing.
wouldn't they wouldn't
Would
guess
assign male or female, yes.
if
Their sex.
the baby is born with ambiguous genitals, there are a set of tools that are used, right, in aiding to determine the baby's SMICs. If it
Okay.
is that ambiguous, right, a series of other tests will be performed, like blood work, okay, DNA, all these other things. So the doctors, based upon that, will label this baby an intersmix male. They will make note of their intersmix syndrome or condition that they were born with. Outside of male and female, name another SMICs that intersmix people are born with.
They won't label them. They won't label them a different sex
Other than what?
other than male or female at birth.
Okay, wonderful. So intersmixism isn't a way for you to say that transgenderism is something that is valid. So let's not use that.
Trans people are very different. That's not. They're not.
Then I don't know why you brought up intersmixism as if it's
But
some
because
some
you
kind of
asked
different
about
sex outside the
how they
binary.
determine sex at. And again, like we're just talking about their biology. We're not talking about the sensation of gender or their gender presentation or how they feel about their sex.
In gender, I'm going to ask you something. In medicine, what is gender?
Gender is it's a combination of things. It's how we feel about how we
I'm
align
not
with
asking you in
physical.
sociology. I'm not asking you in sociology. I'm asking you in medicine. In medicine, nurse, what is gender?
It's sociology. It's all aligned.
Ma'am, outside of sociology, in medicine, what is gender?
It is different from sex
Tell me how using medicine.
because medicine is not just your physiology. It's also incorporates your psychology, your sociology, your context. All of those things
Psychiatry.
are-
We would incorporate psychiatry. If we're going to put medicine in any type of
like-
psychology, we would have to put it in psychiatry. I'm going to ask you again.
no,
I'm
I'm
going to ask you
saying-
again.
And
No.
I'm saying part of a
Ma'am.
medical assessment of a person includes
Ma'am.
their sociology, their
Ma'am,
psychology, and their
would
spirituality.
we put in their psychology or would we put in their psychiatry?
I'm not talking about
Medicine. Ma'am,
psychiatric
you're
disorders.
here.
I'm
Ma'am,
talking
ma'am,
about
ma'am,
we are more than just
Ma'am,
our physiology.
ma'am, you are a nurse. You're a nurse. You're a
Yes,
nurse.
and because
According
I'm
to
a
you,
nurse,
you're a
I have a
nurse.
holistic view of a person.
Wonderful,
More
wonderful.
than
Congratulations.
physiology.
I'm not here to speak on your feelings. I'm
I'm
here
not
to
talking
speak
about
on
feelings. I'm talking about
medicine.
medically.
I'm
we
medically,
assess people based on holistic
in
factors.
medicine, in medicine, what is gender?
Okay.
Outside of psychiatry.
If you're just going to disagree with what I'm telling you and push, I'm telling you what in medicine, how we assess people holistically.
Ma'am,
Not just
I'm
based
going to
on
say this again,
physiology.
ma'am. You're not a psychiatrist.
I'm not trying to be.
Okay, wonderful. So in medicine, not in psychiatry,
I've answered
not
your
in
question.
psychology,
I've
not in
answered your
sociology, what is
answered your question.
gender?
Gender is a sensation of how you feel or how you present your
This woman is
physiological-
speaking on psychology.
No,
Ma'am,
it's all part-
psychology is not
they're
medicine.
they're not separate.
Ma'am, psychology is not medicine.
You respectfully, you don't know what medicine is.
Ma'am, you're telling me that
practice it.
psychology is medicine?
I'm telling you that psychology is absolutely a part of medicine. Our physiological selves, our
Ma'am,
psychological
ma'am,
selves,
ma'am,
our
you're
spiritual
telling me that psychology is medicine.
selves. Yes.
How?
It's all part of the science of how people exist, and medicine is concerned with that.
Ma'am, how is psychology a part of medicine?
Because when we in medicine, when we assess people, we don't just consider their physiology. We also consider their psychology. We consider their
Who
social
considers their
context,
psychology?
because
Who
it all
sens-
affects each other.
Who considers their psychology?
Doctors and nurses.
In what branch?
In all branches. I've worked in critical care. I've worked as a nurse psychologist. It is not separate. These things are linked.
You work as a nurse psychologist,
A nurse psychotherapist, yes.
a nurse psychotherapist, and you're telling me that psychology is medicine.
I'm telling you that you are more than just your physiology. You're also a person
Ma'am,
with
I
a
asked you a
brain,
specific
your
question. You
cognition,
work
how
as
you
a
think.
site nurse, and you're telling me that
I don't
psychology is
work as a
medicine?
psych nurse. That's not the same thing. I'm talking about like a person without psychiatric disorders exists as a person with a physiological body, a cognitive brain, their social context, all of those things
Ma'am,
are
you're putting psychology in medicine,
no,
and I don't appreciate that, ma'am. You're
I'm
putting
saying you don't
psychology in
understand what
medicine.
medicine is if you think it is only your
Ma'am, I
physiological
know what
body.
medicine is. I
Are
know
you a
what
doctor?
medicine is, and nobody in actual medicine, other than somebody who's a social justice warrior, considers psychology
No,
to be medicine. If
that's
you
not
were
true.
speaking on psychiatry, I
That's
would
not
take you
true.
seriously. Ma'am, if you were
In my
speaking on
field, in
psychiatry,
nursing, listen,
ma'am,
you don't
if
know what
you
you're
were
talking about.
speaking on, ma'am, you're getting upset. If you were speaking on psychiatry in medicine, I would take you seriously. But you asserting that psychology is actually medicine
I'm,
shows me that you're not actually a health professional. You're a
I am
social
a
justice
registered nurse for
warrior.
20
You're
years,
a
and I worked
social
in critical
justice
care.
warrior. You're a
No,
social justice warrior
you are
using your
misunderstanding
profession
me.
to push your agenda. I'm
No,
gonna
it's
ask
not
you
about an
again.
agenda. I'm saying
What in
medically,
what
I
is
consider
gender
a
in
patient,
medicine?
I can,
What is gender in medicine, ma'am? They muted it. She left. She's not a health professional. She's a social justice warrior. You notice that she can't tell us what gender is in medicine without bringing in sociology?
Hi.
I don't want to hear about
Hi.
sociology. I want to hear about medicine. What is gender in medicine? Because if she was going to tell you what gender is in medicine, she would tell you it's the study of your DNA. She would tell you that it's male, it's female.
Okay.
And she would actually have to describe actual medicine and science. That's why she doesn't want to speak on what gender is outside of sociology. Nonsense.
Okay.
Sociology is not medicine.
Okay.
Hello?
Hi.
How old are you? Listen to me,
18.
ma'am. When you come up and I'm speaking, I know it may be seen as a tangent, which it sometimes is, but still, but please, conduct yourself with some decorum and wait until I'm done yapping.
Yeah,
All
that's
right?
fine. Okay.
Wonderful. So we're going to do this again. Good day.
Good day.
How old are you?
I'm 18.
What year were you born?
2006.
All right. Go ahead and state your argument.
Okay, so I'm just a question first. How do you think cis is a slur and why does it offend you?
Somebody said, Shante, this is your 800 account. How dare you? This is my 2000 account. Why are you still here? Worried about me and my 2000 account. The word cis is a slur because it undermines and demeans my womanhood.
Okay, and how does it offend you?
It offends me because you're undermining my womanhood, which literally my ancestors, my four sisters before me, have fought, right? To be seen as something other than the brunt of a man's affection. All right? So I don't want to be called cis.
Okay, I will not call you that, but cis is just referring to women who isn't trans. A cis woman. A woman who isn't trans. I don't know how could that offend someone. I don't know how it offends like women.
Because there's no cis women. And you wanted to force that on me, right? Is undermining my womanhood. A woman is an adult human female. You implying that there are subcategories of women that includes males, right? It's insulting to women.
Say that again. Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Pardon?
Say that again.
I'm not going to repeat myself, darling. You should have been paying attention.
I didn't hear you. My phone was low.
Well, I can't hear myself sometimes. That's why I scream so loud. I have to get my ears checked.
Okay, I'll be right back.
No problem. Take care. Can we bring up the next guest?
Hey, how you doing, guys?
Hello, good day. How old are you?
I'm 37.
Awesome. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, that is definitely a slur because let me tell you, all right, as a 37-year-old, I have never heard that term, at least within the past at least 5 to 8 years. It may not even be a brand new term, but at the end of the day, I'm not cis anything. I'm a biological man.
Mm-hmm.
I have friend or
The live is about civil discourse, educational, and
I mean,
entertainment
well, they're
purposes
little girls,
only.
so
They're reporting the live, darling. We couldn't hear you. 1 second. The live is about civil
no, it's
discourse.
so look, yeah.
1 second. It's lagging and we're not hearing
Can you
you. The live is about civil discourse,
Oh,
educational, and
okay.
entertainment purposes. No one is being harassed or bullied. There's no hate being disseminated on this live. There was no bigotry or transphobia or homophobia being disseminated on this live. No one was bullied or harassed. The alphabet cult is so
Yes.
evil. Go ahead, brother. Continue.
Okay, yes. So I just want to say before I even finish my thought, trans people are still human beings and we should treat them like such, whatever. However, I'm not gonna go into the whole pretending you're a woman and everything just to make you feel better. I can treat you as a person. I can respect you, but when it comes to that, whatever, just because you feel like that doesn't mean that you are that. Feelings can be wrong all the time. So I'm not gonna say, hey,
Exactly.
I'm not gonna say, oh, hey, you're a female just because you feel like that. No, I could feel like I'm tired, or I could feel wronged about something. But at the end of the day, it's just a feeling. Feelings go away. What you actually are is what's in your biological being. It's what you were born with. It's okay if you want to feel like a girl or you want to feel like a man. I think that's okay. Again, you're a human being. You're allowed those feelings. However, what you're not allowed to do is for me to have compelled speech against, not against you, towards you, because right now that's indoctrination. I'm not gonna
Mhm.
indoctrinate my kids and say, oh, hey, well, you're a woman, but you're a concept. The fuck is that? I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. So like that,
Mhm.
it just doesn't make any sense to me. There's no real,
So
there's
how
no
would you approach a
One
trans
second. How
person?
old are you? How old are you, new guest?
I'm 31,
All right,
ma'am.
you're gonna mute until the next guest is finished, then I'll get to you.
oh, okay.
Go ahead, guest. Finish
So
what you were saying.
Okay, so I'm gonna land my plane because I don't really have much to say because at the end of the day, I think I've already said it. And like, I have no problem respecting someone else because listen, the first time I've ever even came around trans person, I was like 5, 6, maybe 7 years old, and I understood what they were. And even it was a he because she or whatever he said, listen, pronounce me as a he, but he said, I like makeup, I like dresses, and I was like, okay, fine. He's talking to a kid, and I understood at that time. These days, it's just like, oh, well, you're whatever you want to
I'm
be.
sorry that happened to you. Sorry that you were exposed to that at a young age.
Nah,
That
I'm
should have
cool.
never
I'm
happened.
cool. Nah, you know what? At the end of the day, I like it because I'm getting to see different types of people out there, and that's fine. That I was raised on respect and respect others.
My
However,
respect is not given to just anybody just because they want to play dress up like Santa Claus. My respect is earned. I don't want
true.
that around my child. I don't want that around my nieces, my nephews. I don't want it around any child. Children should not be exposed to that. The facts are these people demand respect while not offering any respect to anybody else. They are literally colonizers, just like their
That is
forefathers,
true.
but they're just doing it in a separate way. Men are men, That's what
Hmm.
society sees them as, adult males. Women are adult human females. If you are a person that doesn't want to ascribe to reality, you should get intense psychotherapy and antipsychotic medication. But the world doesn't stop, nor should the world contort and take away from itself, to suit your narrative, especially if you live in
Hmm.
total psychosis and delusions. But thank you for coming up and sharing your thoughts, brother. I appreciate you, and you're welcome
Thank you.
anytime. All right, you have a wonderful day.
Same to you.
All right, thank you. Hello, Brand. State your age again for TikTok.
Oh yeah, I'm 31.
Awesome. What are your thoughts?
I just to back up basically what the last guy said, and I have ran across your lives and you being on other panels and whatnot. And I just don't really understand your gist or your feelings towards trans people. Like, were you ever harassed by a trans person or something for you to
Yes,
have
I
these
remember.
harsh feelings towards them? Or
My feelings aren't harsh. My feelings are justified. Men are the number one perpetuators of violence against women. Males are the number one perpetuators of violence against women. Doesn't matter what age they are. Could be prepubescent or adult males, right? There was a 16-year-old boy that unalived and raped his own mother. There was a 13-year-old boy that raped and unalived his own 7-year-old sister, right? There are grown men raping and unaliving other women and children. So males are the number one
they,
perpetuators of
and they
violence against women
and
and
they
children.
and majority
So
of them and majority of them are self-identified heterosexual cisgender males, if we're
the
going to be
majority,
correct,
the
right?
majority of
None of them are
perpetuators,
trans.
the majority of males are perpetuators of violence. It doesn't matter what they identify as, doesn't matter what their races are, doesn't matter what their BMI is,
Oh,
doesn't
yes, it
matter which country
does.
they are. No, it doesn't. It does not.
They're in their own minority.
Most the facts are, darling, the majority of males that identify as trans that have been incarcerated in the US are incarcerated in there for violent crimes against women and children versus
No, that's a
normal men
complete
who don't
lie.
have. You can look it up on
It's
the
not.
Department of
I'm here in
Justice.
the U.S., ma'am. You in
Oh,
Jamaica or somewhere?
wonderful.
It's
So I'm
not.
not in Jamaica. I'm not in Jamaica. And even if I were in Jamaica,
Some
I have access
Caribbean
to the
area.
internet. I'm not in Jamaica. I'm in the US, sir.
And so what did you read? Like a Reddit forum or something? Some
What
sort
did
of
you read, like a Reddit forum or
anti-trans,
something? What did you read, like a Reddit forum or something?
anti-LGBT
I
forum,
actually,
to go along with your agenda?
Tyrone,
It- it-
I've actually done my research. I've actually looked into cases,
no, you actually
unlike you,
read a
Tyrone.
Reddit forum. A
Tyrone,
Reddit forum.
maybe
And my
if
name
you
is
read your birth
Brandon. It's not
certificate,
Tyrone. It's
maybe if
Brandon.
you
It's
read
not
your birth
Tyrone.
certificate, you could find your pappy.
Oh, I have a pappy. And he's very
Alrighty, bring up the next guest. If he put that much energy in finding his pappy, he would be okay. No one is being harassed or bullied on this live. No one is being harassed or bullied on this live. There was no hate speech or hateful rhetoric being disseminated on this live. You notice how belligerent they get when you present facts? You notice how belligerent they get and angry when you present actual facts? Hello, good day. How old are you? Hello, good day, Tyrell. How old are you?
Oh, hey, I am about to be 33.
Awesome, awesome. What are your thoughts?
I am 100% in agreement with pretty much all you said. I've listened to some of your panels and debates, and I'm when it comes to this topic, I like to listen to what people have to say just to discern whether people are being hateful, whether people have any real facts behind what they're saying. And I definitely like what you have to say because you come with facts. And even though the delivery may come off a bit harsh, it goes with what we're dealing with. At this point, I'm
Exactly.
extremely extremely disgusted at the state that we are in. Um,
Hmm.
for me, what I've noticed is when it comes to not gay and LGBT people, no, specifically trans, when it comes to them, it's a whole different type of agenda that it's a slippery slope because if you give an
Hmm.
inch, they will push their way in for a mile. And that's the world I don't want to live in. There's such a
Hmm.
thing as objective reality. I don't care what you see yourself as. I don't care what you think you are. There is objective truths. And the objective truth is there is man and there's women. When it comes to the animal kingdom, it's the same thing. When it comes to plants, it's the same thing. Now they're trying to completely redefine what reality is and say, oh, well, a woman is a thought. No, it's not a thought. First of all, how do you even know what it feels like to be a woman? If you ask a regular woman, she's going to tell you it's just what I am. So a man is not going to come and tell you, oh, I know what it feels like to be a woman, because you have no idea what that feels like. Now,
I've been a woman 186 years, Terrell, and I can't tell you what it means to feel like a woman.
it's beyond disgusting because now you want everybody to just live in this fantasy. Okay, I'll give you an example. I'm going through certain debates, and then there's somebody who had a panel saying, "Oh well, if you're attracted to trans women, then you're heterosexual because trans women are women." Okay, the last time I checked, if you are having sexual experiences with somebody of the same sex, that makes you gay or bisexual.
Ooh, Terrell, I don't know if you saw that. They flagged you, and
Oh,
it's
they
glitching
flagged
the
me?
live. Yes, I have
Okay.
to drop you. But big up
Okay.
yourself, brother. You can wait 10 minutes and come right back to cook.
Gotcha.
All right, brother. The live is about civil discourse, educational, and entertainment purposes. We are not here to propagate or to disseminate any type of transphobia, homophobia, or hateful rhetoric on TikTok. We do not tolerate that. We're not here to propagate nor disseminate any type of hateful rhetoric towards the LGBT community. This live is an LGBT safe space. Oh my
Hey,
God. Good day. And he was cooking. Hello, good day. How old are you? Hi, guys. Good day, V. How old are you? V. All right, I'm gonna have to drop the guest because the guest isn't.
I'm sorry. I had an issue. I'm 18.
Okay.
I was born in
What year were you
2006.
born? 2006.
2000.
All right, go ahead and state your argument.
I would like to ask you why you think you're why you think cis is a slur.
It's a slur because it's being used to degrade, demean, and insult the group of people that it's being ascribed to.
How is it being used as such?
Because you're comparing us to men in frocks, you're saying that we're a social construct which takes away from our humanity.
Well, no. What's sorry? Let's get our definition straight. What's your definition of cisgender?
What is cisgender?
Yes. What's your definition of it?
I don't have a definition of it. The definition, as it states, I think it means somebody who aligns with the SMICs that they were born with.
Yes, that's close. Cis means it's a biological term used to define a person who identifies with their sex assigned at birth. So, for example, you, I'm assuming, are female assigned at birth. Is that correct?
You have to
And
speak up, darling.
sorry, you, I'm assuming, are a female assigned at birth.
I wasn't assigned female at birth. I'm just a female.
Well, okay. Um, yeah, I guess you could say that. Assigned female at birth, because you can technically change your sex with sex characteristics with surgery. That's why I'm saying assigned sex at birth.
You can't change your SMICs. All you can do is mutilate your SMICs.
Yeah, I guess so. But by saying assigned female at birth, I'm differentiating, I guess, in a way, sex and gender, because they're not the same thing.
They are the
That's why
same
I'm.
thing.
I disagree. Well, sex is you have sex characteristics for example, I don't know if I can say it on TikTok, but female, male parts, whatever. Well, and gender is strictly sociological. It's not the same thing. So, a good way to prove that would be, do you think that, I don't know, lizards can be girls or
Is there a
women?
specific name for male lizards?
Male lizards. That's just it. But
No,
do you
I think that
that
there's a
lizards?
scientific terminology for male lizards. What is a stallion? What is a stallion?
I'm pretty sure that's a horse. I'm
What
not.
type of horse?
I don't know. I'm not. A male horse. That's not a boy horse. It's
Oh,
a
a male horse. It's actually a boy horse as well. Yeah, male. So it can be a young male horse or an adult male horse. Stallion describes the stages of development that the male horse is in. So a mare is a female horse, right? So it
Yes,
describes the stages
precisely.
of yes. So it describes the smecks of the horse, just like woman describes the stage of development of the female human, and girl describes the stage of development, right, for the female human. Okay, a kitten describes the stage of development of a cat, right? A
Yeah.
puppy describes the stage of development of a dog, right? Okay, a
Yes.
bull
Yeah, I see your
describes
point.
the development of a male dog, so it's an adult male dog. A biatch describes the
Yep.
development of a adult canine female. All right, so
Yeah.
all these
Yeah.
terminologies describes the different development of the smexes of living beings and organisms. So gender cannot be a social construct when it's innately based on your biology.
Well, I disagree with that. I don't think gender is based on biology. Well,
We just
in a
described
way
a
it is.
race.
I know. I'm sorry. I'll get to your point. I do see your point. I do think. I think you brought up a good way to argue what you think.
I
Let me
don't
collect my thoughts
argue
for a
what I
second.
think. I just state facts.
Yeah. I think. Okay. Let me just get my thoughts out.
No
I
problem.
think
Take your time.
gender is something. Okay, how about this? I'll say what my definition of a woman is, and that it would be a person, an adult human person.
You're walking away from your microphone and we can barely hear you.
You're right, I'm sorry. An adult human person that identifies with the typical characteristics that we associate with the woman gender or the female sex sometimes, yes. But
If you're saying
how
that
should I
it's the
say?
characteristics, then remember, in every facet of society, women carry themselves a different way. There are religious sects, right, that have women dressing and operating a separate way, right? Look at the Mormons, for example. The women there dress and conduct themselves a separate way. Look at the Muslimas. They dress and conduct themselves a separate way. Look at like Jamaican women African women, different tribes and ethnic groups in Africa,
Mm-hmm.
in the Amazon, they conduct and operate a separate way. So you can't
Mm-hmm.
say
Mm-hmm.
that woman is incumbent upon how women operate in society, because it varies. So the definition of a woman, right, in every fabric of society
Mm-hmm.
is incumbent upon being a female, because even in social in societies where the women shave their heads and go out to battles, like certain
Mm-hmm.
tribes in Africa, they're still the ones that
Mm-hmm.
have the kids and raise them. In tribes where the men put
Mm-hmm.
on the makeup and go and seek the validation of the women are still the wives. They still take on the mothering and the nurturing role, right? So in every fabric
Yeah.
of society, doesn't matter how the women conduct themselves or how the men conduct themselves, there's a consensus on women being females.
Uh, yeah, I suppose. Well, in that case, what do you think of trans people?
I think that mental illness is a very, very big issue within our society that needs to be addressed.
Do you think that being transgender is a mental illness?
It doesn't matter what I think. According to the professional, they've diagnosed it as a mental disorder. That's why it's in the DSM 5.
Sorry, what professionals?
Oh,
What?
psychiatrist and psychologist. So in the DSM 5 TR, which is the newly updated version of the DSM, which is the diagnostic manual for all mental disorders, gender dysphoria is right there with schizophrenia and bipolar disorder.
That gender dysphoria, I sorry.
It's
I
some people
yeah,
laugh
gender
with both
dysphoria
words.
is a mental problem, but that I don't think that's inherent um of being transgender.
It is
I
because transgenderism is an unease or discomfort with one's biological sex. So every person who feels an unease or discomfort with their biological sex is experiencing gender dysphoria.
that yeah, I you are correct in that, but I do think you can be transgender without experiencing gender dysphoria.
It's impossible
I think
because what you experience is a discomfort with your SMEX. So even if you don't want to do the surgeries, people who identify as trans find it disheartening and get very, very agitated and angry when being called there's being aligned with their SMEX at birth. So if you are born a female and you want to identify as they them, you feel a sense of unease and discomfort with being called she her. If you are born a boy and you experience gender dysphoria, even without having the surgery, you just want to identify as a woman, you will feel an unease and discomfort with being called he him. So every person that experienced this dysphoria has a sense of unease and discomfort within their psychology that falls under the terminology or the classification of gender dysphoria.
right. Well, I'm a person who uses she/they pronouns, and I wouldn't say I feel or she, her, and they/them pronouns. I wouldn't say I feel discomfort when people call me he, him.
Are you a
But I do
male?
see your point. No, I'm assigned female at birth.
All right, so you're a girl, right? And you don't feel any type of
Yeah,
way
sure.
because you use they, them as well. So being called any pronouns doesn't affect you because you go by they, them.
I said that being called he, him doesn't really make me uncomfortable. I just
Exactly, because you go
prefer.
by they, them. You don't ascribe to any or either gender. So anybody can call you anything, but a person who wants to ascribe to the feminine gender or female gender, they're going to feel a sense of unease when being called he, him, and vice versa.
Right. Okay. So, okay, sure. Assuming being transgender is a mental illness. Okay. Um, how would that bringing back to the point of cis is a slur? How would that connect with that?
Because right then, no, when you're taking away my womanhood, right? Undermining my
Hmm.
womanhood, saying that I'm a social construct, it's dehumanizing. That's basically allowing the discrimination of me. Because then, if a woman is a social construct, then I have no legal bearing, right? If I'm not an official entity, I have no rights. This is why women's rights are being trampled on by males. This is why we no longer have women's restrooms. This is why we no longer have women's sports. This is why we no longer have women's spas and women's gym, because there's nothing called woman under the Constitution of legality, therefore making me susceptible to harm.
Okay, well, I don't see how cisgender is something that is a word that describes your that the fact that you're not trans, that you haven't
Yeah,
transitioned.
woman describes that perfectly well. Woman describes the fact that I'm a natural born female of the adult stage. I don't need anything else to describe me. Woman is enough.
So do you not consider trans women women?
Under the definition of what a woman is, it doesn't allow for males to fall into the category of woman.
Okay, I see. Okay, with your definition, I guess that would track, but so okay, I know I asked that, but do you think that do you believe that being trans is a thing that can exist?
I believe that mental illnesses exist. It's been a phenomenon that has happened throughout time and centuries. And, even with Christ, I remember in the Bible, Christ was going up the hill and the persons were like, don't go up there. There's a madman. He will whip you with chains. And Christ went up there. And it turns out the man was possessed by demons. So I think that anybody who seeks after Christ, and gives their life to him can be, delivered. Yeah.
Okay. So even if being transgender is a mental illness, do you think that a trans person can be trans? Like if a male assigned at birth can be a woman, identify as a woman?
It doesn't matter what I think. It matters what is. And according to the definition of a woman, it does not facilitate males, because the definition of a woman, right, is an adult human female. So it doesn't matter what I think. It matters what is. Feelings are subjugated to change. Facts aren't.
So you think being a woman is a feeling? Is that what I'm?
If being a woman is a feeling, I've been a woman for 316 years and I can't describe that feeling. Being a woman is a stage of development. A state of development. It's a state of being. It's of the adult female human stage of development.
Okay, so if you think that being a woman is, yeah, sure. I can't get your definition of trans people. Is that something you think is right? Is okay?
It doesn't matter what I think. I go by the definitions, what they're classed as, what the diagnosis is. That's what I rely on. I told you, I don't go off my feelings, right? This morning I woke up, I felt like I wanted to make some plantain porridge, some green plantain porridge, right? Okay? And you know what I did? I just made some ginger tea and drank it and got on live after I showered. So my feelings changed. Reality didn't. It didn't.
Okay.
Facts didn't. Okay?
So you don't think trans people can be trans?
It doesn't matter what I think.
Okay, so you don't think... Sorry, let me reword that. You don't... Yeah. I don't know how else I can say this.
Yeah, you're going off feelings. I don't go off
You don't
feelings.
believe.
I
You
don't
don't
go off
believe.
feelings. It doesn't matter what I believe. It matters what is. Trans, by definition, means from one side to the other. That's why it's using transfer, transit, transaction, transatlantic. Okay?
Yes,
Transform.
correct.
So for people to exist under that basis, that would mean that you possess the ability to move from one to the other. In science, nothing allows for that to happen. Nothing in science allows for
Yeah.
that to happen. Nothing at all.
Yeah. So, yeah, thank you, person in chat. Do you agree that trans people, that being trans isn't a thing?
Ma'am, what is it? What is that? What is being trans? Tell me, I don't understand.
In my definition, a trans person is, say, for example, a female assigned, a female, by your definition, a female that feels or identifies with the characteristics that we usually associate with men. I said men, really weird. Men. The male sex with your definition.
All right, see, a female can't become a male. Science doesn't allow that for the human species.
Oh, okay, so if they undergo surgery, they take
Surgeons,
hormones,
no surgeon can create the male reproductive organs from the female reproductive organs. It is physiologically and medically impossible.
That is correct, but they, after surgery, they technically no longer have the abilities of
They're still a female based on
a
their
woman.
physiology. They're still women. Based on the definition of what a woman is, based on the physiology of being a female, of the adult stage of development, they're still women.
Right. Okay.
And if you want, you can share it with a biologist that they can come up and talk to me.
That, yeah. How do I explain what I think?
I'm gonna move on to the other quiz because you've been here a while. So I appreciate the
Fair enough.
conversation.
All right. Okay. Sure. Goodbye. Thank you.
All right. Take care. All right. No one was bullied or harassed on this live. We do not tolerate any type of hate or transphobia or homophobia. No hateful rhetoric, ideology, or behavior. No bigotry, bullying, or harassment. Thank you, Jen. Thank you, sister. Will be tolerated. The live is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, Josh. Who's a good guest? Good conversation. Oh, love you too, Grabber. Okay, funny bone. Big up yourself, Adam. Good to see you, brother. They're reporting the live real bad, and they're trying to hack into the phone. Can you imagine that? Oh my God. People who are trying to hack into the phone, remember, I don't use my IP. It's either going to send you to Jamaica, and I'm not the only one logged into my account. So don't waste your time. Oh my God. Hi, supervillain. What's up, sister? Let me get the age of the top guest. Hey, the Welsh. How old are you?
I'm 24.
Okay, 1 second. Go ahead, supervillain.
Hey, Shanta, I just wanted to throw it out there. A lot of things were said about genitals not mattering, and I just want to know, let them people who think that genitals don't matter, that's extremely robophobic because that eliminates the LGB. How are you knowing that your homosexual if you don't consider genitals. So their rhetoric in theory is phobic, and a lot of what they say never makes sense or adds up. And this is not just to be mean, but it's just to sit down and write on paper. It never makes sense. So they are actually being phobic to their own community. Because again, if genitals don't matter, then how does a homosexual person know if they are a gay or a lesbian person? I just wanted to throw it out there because they like to come up here and do a lot of word salad and it never makes sense. So thank you, Shanta. I just want to throw that out there, make a point.
No problem, darling. And you're always welcome to come up, sister. Pick up yourself. And that's why the LGB wants to separate from the rest of the letters, because they fought for the right to just exist and go about their day without being seen lesser than humans. And then now they have a whole set of people undermining everything that they fought for. And that's why they want to separate from the other letters. And rightfully so. Hi, good day. What are your thoughts?
Hi. So I've never actually been on a live, so apologies if I'm a little bit out of sorts. So the description of cis, the actual definition is obviously it's a descriptor of, as you say, it's a person who identifies with the gender that they, or their sex that they were at birth. Is that fair? Would you agree with that?
I think that cis, per the definition, is just a word that is used in biochemistry to describe like molecules, DNA,
Yeah.
and the like. That's all I see cis as.
Yeah. So I agree with that. That's, I think, why I believe that in my experience, cis isn't a slur at its core. I think that it's sort of, for example, how the word fat has become an insult and something that has been thrown around and is used so negatively, when at its definition it is just a word that is used as a description. I think
Yeah,
that
fat describes a person with an high BMI. Like myself, my arse has been obese for the past several years. I've been trying to put her on a diet, but nothing seems to help. But a word that describes your physiology, right, and your physical, even if it's demeaning to you, or even if it's harsh to you, it can't be a slur, right? Okay. So because it's an actual descriptive word, the difference between being called fat and being called cis is that cis is not a descriptor for the human form or anatomy.
well, I understand where you're coming from with that, but you just said that it isn't a describer for anatomy, whereas you previously said that it was a description for cells and sort of
For
biology.
like molecules and like cells and structures. So if you're going to say cis is incumbent upon my biology, then that would mean that there are a set of people called cisgender in biology, and cisgender people don't exist in biology. That's why it can't be used as a descriptor to describe my physical form that is incumbent upon my anatomy.
Okay, I understand where you're coming from with that. I guess the word has the whole use of the word has come from a way of describing someone. I just think that people who use it as a word that is malicious and has malicious intent, I think that that's their problem. I understand, like, it's sort of, if someone was to call me something that I didn't agree with, it's not, I can't just sort of decide that it's a slur. It's something that they've said to me that I don't
Actually,
happen
you
to.
can decide it's a slur, especially when it's a terminology that you, right, do not ascribe to, that is redundant and unnecessary.
Well,
Okay,
it's like,
that's how slurs are made. If it is, when a slur is formed, it's not based or on how the person that is using the word feels about it. It's based on how the persons that is being used to categorize feel about it, right? It's not the user that finds it to be an insult. It's the people that are being called that perceive it to be an insult.
yeah, I see that. I see where you're coming from with that. It's like if someone was to describe me as a brunette, but I didn't agree and I thought that was insulting. I don't think.
Brunette literally means dark or dark brown. Brunette was used to describe black people.
Yeah,
The word brunette was used to describe black people. It literally is a descriptor. Cis isn't.
Okay, maybe it's a sense of I need to go away and look at the sort of the
Yes,
actual.
Jade. Brunette was used to describe black people.
Okay, apologies.
Long time ago. You can look it up in history books.
Okay, I didn't realize I was simply just discussing hair because I do have brown hair, and so
Yes, it just means dark brown.
Okay.
Oh, she left. Okay. Can we bring up the next person? Well, no, you've heard it. You can go and fact check me. Somebody said I've never heard that in my life. Just because you haven't heard it doesn't mean it's not true. Go look it up. I tell you people all the time, fact check me, prove me wrong. The word brunette was used to describe black people. It means dark brown. So was swarthy. Swarthy was used to describe black people too. Brunette, swarthy, more. You'd have to get like a history. You know where you can find it? You know where you can find it in? I have it. Oh my gosh. What's that book called? Yes, swarthy, brunette. It was all used to describe black people. DV, good day. Brother, you're not connected. They're reporting this brother because he came on and spoke facts. Tyrell, you're not connecting, brother. They're reporting your account. Put it on private. Tyrell, put your account on private. They're reporting you massively. You're not connecting. Hello.
Hello,
Good day. How old are you?
I am 20 years old.
Awesome. How can I help you?
Great. So I just wanted to ask you if you found the word. Also, sorry, before I ask the question, I don't know the terms that I can or cannot use, so I'm sorry and feel free to correct me if I can.
If you're going to use TikTok unfriendly words, you've been using TikTok a while now. If you use any words that are unfriendly for TikTok, you will be dropped.
Okay, great. So I was wondering if you found the word heterosexual offensive or a slur.
Me?
Yes.
I personally don't use the word. I just use normal.
Okay, no, as in like you find cis to be a slur. So I just was wondering if you also found heterosexual to be a slur.
Me? No, not particularly.
Okay, so what is the difference between like heterosexual and cis then?
Because cis doesn't just describe the heterosexual human being. It also describes people of homosexual desires. It just means that you're not trans. It has nothing to do with your sexuality.
Okay, but doesn't heterosexual just mean that you're not homosexual or bisexual? Schmexual, sorry.
What?
Doesn't being called heterosexual just mean that you are not homosexual or bisexual?
I don't know. As I said, I'm not a person that uses those terminologies. I just use normal.
Okay, so then why do you find cis as a very offensive term, like a slur, as you said before?
Because it used to funny one. Because it's used to demean me.
Okay, in which way?
It undermines my womanhood.
Okay, so you feel like cis undermines your womanhood, even though it's just a descriptive word.
Summer, the word brunette in Old English was used to describe a person of a darker hue. It was later used to describe the color of hair. But in Old English, it was used to describe a person of a darker hue, dark brown complexion. I'm not asking you, all right? I'm sorry, darling, I wasn't listening. Continue.
Okay, so basically, you feel like cis like demeans your womanhood, right? Like that's how you feel, even though it's just a classificatory, like classifying word.
It can't be used as a classification for a group of people when it doesn't exist, when those group of people don't exist in biology.
So are you saying like sexual, like let's say, is being heterosexual or being homosexual, sorry, it's so weird saying schmexual, but is that a biological classifier?
Yes, homosexuality is a biology term.
So it is, so you're saying that you are biologically born homosexual.
You know why homosexual is a biological term?
Why?
Because it describes your physical, your anatomy.
That, so what's the difference anatomically from a heterosexual person and a homosexual person?
One uses their penis or their reproductive organs in the natural way, and the other uses it in an unnatural way.
So that is not
Can you open the garage? Open the garage for Wayne. He's outside. Please. All right. Go ahead, darling. I'm sorry.
So how they use their body parts is
because it describes the way that you use your anatomy, right? Okay. That's why it's a biological term.
Okay. So wait, so it describes how you use the anatomy. That's why it's a biological term. That's what you said, right?
What do homosexuals use to do their thing?
I'm guessing their schmexual part. I don't know if I can say the word.
Their smexual parts.
Okay. Yeah.
Their pianist.
So wait, so would being called a pianist be a biological word?
Oh my God. All right. So I'm going to ask you, because you seem to think that you're making some points here.
Okay.
But the only person you're making points to is yourself.
Okay.
Homosexuality is a biological term because it describes, right, using your anatomy in a specific way.
Okay.
Heterosexuality is also a biological term because it describes you using your anatomy in a specific way. No, if your argument is, if I don't find the term heterosexual offensive, why do I find cis offensive? Because in biology, there are no cis people.
Okay.
Because say that you're trying to equate homosexuality to being called cisgender, right? It's non-equatable.
No. I'm equating being called heterosexual.
It's non-equatable because the word homo. Do you know what homo means in the word homo? What does it mean?
Same.
What is a homo sapien?
Man, a man, like a person.
All right, wonderful. So that's why it's a biological term. No, ma'am, cisgender, for it to be a biological term, it would have to describe a living, breathing organism. It does not.
Okay, so it's not, I'm not saying that it's a biological term.
Hold on.
Okay.
Cisgender is not a biological term because it does not describe a living, breathing organism.
Okay.
It does not describe a living organism and living entity. Cis is a biochemistry term. Yes. It's a scientific term. Cisgender is not. Cis in the sciences does not describe a person. It describes a certain trait or characteristic of like being.
Okay. So you find it offensive because it's not a biological term.
I find it offensive because it undermines my womanhood.
But but that's how you feel about the word because it's
It
just
doesn't
a
matter
word.
how I feel about the word. It matters what is. When you
Yeah.
call me cisgender, it alludes to there being a separate type of woman other than an adult human female.
No, when somebody calls a person cisgendered, right? That just means they're classifying them the same way that being called a
Exactly.
girl
And there
is a
is no
classification.
classification of cis people. A girl describes the human female or the female in the pre-adult stage.
So you
So
think
that's
that people
that
are not
describes the
classified?
biology.
So you think there's no classification? That's what you said?
There's no cis people in science. Can
That's
you
not the
find
question.
bring to me a medical book, a biology book with cisgender in it?
So I know that I think I've heard you say this before, but gender is a sociological
I'm gonna
term.
ask you again. Bring me a book with cisgender in it. You can't say it's a social category when you're
It
using
is.
biology. You can't say it's a social category while describing the physiological being. Because you're saying that cisgendered people means you were born and identify as how you were born. That's what you're saying. So you're taking it from a social category to a biological state of being. So your whole argument is oxymoronic and confusing, and you don't even understand the very premise of your argument,
I do
right?
though.
But you don't, because you're saying it's a social category. Then you're equating it to a biological state of being.
I'm not. You're equating it to a biological. I'm
Mom,
saying that gender is.
you just said cisgender means you ascribe to how you were born, meaning you're speaking on
I
my
never said
biology.
that.
Oh my God.
I said
Smiley face
cisgender
if
is
this
a classification.
person,
It's a word. It's a classification.
smiley face if this person said being cisgender meaning identifying as how you were born. Smiley face if that's what this person said. We all heard you. The live is being recorded, ma'am. Ma'am,
Okay.
sir, ma'am, I don't know what you are.
I'm a girl.
What's a girl?
Human female.
So
Somebody
if you
who
know that,
identifies as a female.
if you know that a girl is a human female, why are you here arguing that gender and sex are different?
No, listen, I'm not because they are.
Then if they are, why would you specify that a girl is a human female? You would just say a girl is anybody who identifies as such. But you spoke on the biology
Because that's
of
what I
the girl.
feel. Listen, at
That
the end of the
means that
day,
girl, thank you
the
for proving my
official
point. Thank
definitions,
you.
the
Thank
official
you.
definitions. You said
All right, so she just dismissed her own argument. She just dismissed her own argument. So thank her for that. Hello, good day. State your age or
Hi,
TikTok, please.
I'm 33.
Awesome. What are your thoughts?
Oh, well, I agree with you 100%. I just wanted to come up and educate these people just a little bit. The term cisgender came about in 1994. I don't know if you guys knew this. So it actually is a term for trans people. So it's actually not even, it didn't even start to call women cis. So a lot of you guys need to go get educated. And I'll be damned if someone calls me cis or a birthing person. Other than that, love ya. Just wanted to come up here because these people don't know anything. Thank
Yeah, it
you.
was actually used before that in
Yeah,
Swansea, Germany as well. It had
but
nothing to do with people outside the T ideology.
of
It was
course,
used
but a
for
simple
specific.
Google search will tell them that. But I feel like even if they went to look that up, they would still be so deranged that they wouldn't believe truth. So
True,
happy
true.
you're doing this. Have a wonderful day, love.
You as well, darling. Take care. Yeah, the term cis in its origin was used to describe trans people who didn't have the surgeries. And then transsexual was used to describe the trans people who did have the surgery. So it had no connotation, right, to actual people outside of the ideology.
A few seconds ago, you didn't even know what cisgender meant.
Okay. How old are you?
I'm the same person from earlier. I'm 25.
Why did you re-request on a separate account?
This is the same account, girl. Please don't even try that. This is the same exact account.
I'm sorry I didn't remember you. Why did you guys bring it up back? Look how many guests are there. Why did you bring it up back? Come on, Mats. Come on. Oh my God. Hello, good day. How old are you?
I'm 19.
All right, what year were you born?
2005.
Awesome. What's up, King?
Baby, you know I'll be coming up in here. I just be having to holler at you real quick. Tell you I hope you having a good day, that you sound as beautiful as you look. I ain't seen you in a minute. Also, just I don't understand why we have to like combat common sense so bad. That shit, I don't understand that. Like, I really don't understand like why we have to combat common sense so fucking hard. That shit does not make sense to me.
Exactly. But you know,
Like
not everybody, common sense is not very common these days, unfortunately.
it's not. It's just the fact that like we know what basic biology is. We know what it is. It's literally called basic biology for a reason. It's basic common knowledge. I just don't understand why we have to fight it so fucking hard. Like that shit is so crazy.
Facts. It's just this generation, they've lost their marbles.
I am her dude. She don't be claiming me, but I'm definitely her dude. She my baby. She my baby up there. She be acting on TikTok. But yeah, she my.
Oh my goodness. Always a pleasure having you, my darling.
All right, mama. You have a good day.
Thank you, Papi. You too. Sai.
Yes.
All right, go ahead.
Well, first, I want to like make sure that we differentiate like specs and gender because they are different.
Can you show us how it's different?
Yeah, so SMEX is based on biology. It is chromosomes and reproductive organs. I think we can both agree for that.
I think that's gender.
Well, gender is a social construct because it is how you express yourself based off of the social norms that is connected to the gender.
Okay, so you're basically equating gender norms as gender.
Yeah, correct.
All right, so gender norms are not gender. Gender in itself is male and female, and gender norms are how male and females operate within their society or within a societal framework.
But that is how
But
you express your gender.
yeah, gender expression is how you express yourself, right? As
Yeah,
a
so
male
if you
and as a
change your
female, but
gender,
it's not gender.
if you change your gender, you change how you express your gender.
You can't change it. That's the thing. You're always a
Yes, you
male or a
can.
female. Tell me how you can stop being a male or a female.
Well then you will align yourselves with the opposite gender, or another gender's social norms and express yourself as that
Yeah,
gender.
a man in a dress is still a male. If a
Um,
female puts on trousers and a t-shirt, cuts off her hair, binds her testicles or cuts them off, she's still a female. Even if she, mutilates her below area, she's still a female. Being a
yeah, because
female is
female
not
is
just
your
your
biology.
genitals. Being a female, sweetie, is not just your genitals. It's your skeletal structure, your DNA, your muscle mass, your bone density,
Yeah,
right?
so that's why it is used like medically because that's stuff that's going to determine how they treat you, but your gender is your
That's your
how you're seen
gender.
socially. No, it is not. Sex
Yes,
and
it
gender are
is.
different.
Your gender is you being male or female. Big up Joe don't care. Go just
Gender identity.
yeah, gender identity and gender are two separate things, sweetie.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are. Gender
Can you explain that?
identity. Gender identity is how you want to be perceived and how you perceive yourself and how you go about, as a man or a woman within society. All right. Gender is you being male or female.
No, that is sex.
Sex is a word for it, but in medicine we call it gender.
Well, do you have a driver's license?
Me, I don't even have a
Yes.
car.
A passport?
Me, I've never left the little hut that I live in. I live in Jamaica, right beside Ghana, in a little hut.
Okay. Do you have a government issued ID?
I'm undocumented. I came to Africa from Jamaica on a banana boat.
Okay. Well, I have multiple government issued IDs, and under it, it says my sex is an F, which
Your
means that I'm
your
female.
passport doesn't say gender F.
I don't have a passport currently, but both my driver's license, my like health card, and another piece of issued
Mhm.
ID.
When you first went to your doctor, right? And they gave you the form to fill out. What did you see under gender?
An F.
Go
Because
ahead,
I'm
we're waiting.
biologically female.
I'm going to ask you something. What did you see under gender when you went to your GP?
There's no gender option. It's asking me about what my sex is.
You're a liar.
No, I'm not. It
You're
says my sex.
mendacious. You're mendacious.
It says my sex.
It
It asks for
literally
your
says
sex.
gender,
It
and
says
then you
sex.
had to put male or female.
It
And
says
I'm going to
sex.
drop you because you're mendacious.
Okay. You just don't want to listen to someone educated.
No. You're not educated. You're far from it.
It's different. Sex is
It's
different from
different.
gender.
That's why I'm gonna lie. That's why I'm
Oh
gonna
my
lie, because
god.
it's different. If you really believe that it was different, you wouldn't lie about what it said. Can we have another customer? Jesus is my portion.
Hi, everybody. Okay,
Hello,
right.
how old are you?
So, first of all,
Hello, how old are you?
I'm 14.
All right. Just because you have a Grinder account doesn't mean that you're allowed on my live. I am not the person who created that app. I don't allow children anywhere near me. If you are
Hello.
under 18, do not request to join. If
Hello.
you are not 18, I am speaking. 1 second.
My
If
bad.
you're not 18, do not request to join. I do not speak to children on this app. I am not Dean. Zen, good day. How old are you?
25.
How can I assist you?
Oh no, I just wanted to, here just for discussing and everything about the word cis.
Okay,
So,
go ahead.
I just wanted to kind of pick up from the last discussion that I kind of just heard and just start with the basics and everything. So, just to give a little background and everything, I am involved in healthcare, so this is very much my realm of doing things. I have a background in healthcare as well as psychology and sociology, so I hope this helps.
Congratulations.
Thank
I'll
you.
send you a cookie to your email.
Why, thank you. Chocolate chip, please.
Of course, only the best for you.
I appreciate that.
You're so
So,
welcome.
just to do a quick breakdown before I get into what cis means and why it is not a slur, I just want to do a breakdown on the difference on what is gender and sex, okay? Because she kind of had a point on what she was trying to say last time, but she was missing the mark on it a little bit. So I was kind of just like, she's like kind of right there, but she's missing the mark for me, right? So here's the difference, right?
I'm not gonna lie, you speak fluent Japanese.
I sure do, and I'm really good at it. So we're gonna get there.
Wonderful. So no. We need to get to the point. I get bored easily. I have ADHD.
Me too. That's why I speak Japanese. All right. So here's the thing.
No, if you're
Sex
gonna
is
speak Japanese, you're
biological.
gonna be dropped.
Oh, I see. I see. Low attention span. I got you. So sex is
Same here,
biological.
especially for foolinish.
I'm goofy. I'm sorry. What can I say? So sex is biological.
Look you
Gender is
too.
a social construct. And here's what cisgender means, okay? Cis is not a slur. Here is
Ma'am,
why.
you first have to prove that gender is separate from SMICS.
Okay? So sex, the reason why gender is separate from sex is sex specifically refers to genitalia, okay? Is the biological aspect. When someone is female or when someone is male. Here's what's different about it. Humans aren't the only one that can be male or female. A plant can be male. A plant can be female. There's a number of different things. However, when it comes to gender, gender is what you identify as. It is psychological. There are psychological differences that are found in brainwaves and studies between male and female, and they do
Oh,
not
really?
always align with the
Oh, really?
biological differences.
And
Yes.
what science is that? Where did they come with that information?
Yeah, sure, I got you. So there's actually a
Yeah.
number of different things that you can look up really quickly. For the start, you can actually look up and Google very easily differences between gender and sex. I actually have a computer
I'm
right
gonna
in front
ask
of
you
me, so
again,
I can look
what
it up
in
for
the
you.
brain of men and women is so fundamentally different that makes one have a female brain and one have a male brain?
Chemical imbalances is
So
the biggest thing.
chemical
Yes.
imbalances make a man have a female brain. What chemical imbalances?
It's not the actual structure or the building of the brain itself. It's the chemical imbalances in certain parts of the brain that highlight as a difference between male and female. And that's
So
what
certain
also
parts
can
of the brain highlight as male and female. Where did you find this in neurology?
I'm not
Where
saying
can I
parts of the
find this?
brain specifically highlight as, oh, if you're a male, this part of your brain highlights, or if you're female,
Then
this
what are
part of
you
your
saying?
brain.
You just said certain part of the brains are highlighted as male and female
No,
because
I'm
of
saying there's
hormonal
different parts of your
imbalances.
brain and everything that have different chemical imbalances.
Yes, and what
Depending.
caused those chemical imbalances and which part of the brain has those chemical imbalances that would allow for a male to have a female brain or vice versa?
Let's see. Those huge specifics of it, I gotta look up the chart because there's some parts of the
Take your
brain that.
time.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. You're actually giving me some
You're
time.
so welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate that because at first you were kind of just like, I get bored easily. I'm like, oh, okay.
No,
I'm
no,
feeling
no.
special
I like
now.
this. This is a good conversation. So take your time. Go ahead and present us the science in neurology that states that a male can have a female brain because of hormonal imbalances and vice versa.
Yeah, sure thing. I absolutely appreciate you giving me the time to do that because this is more like a lot of background knowledge and everything I have in terms of actually bringing up the data itself. I got to look in my notes and everything.
Take your time. Take your time.
I appreciate you.
You're so welcome.
There we go.
You're my good girl, bringing all this information to mama.
Why, thank you. I do my best. I aim to please.
You're welcome. I know, and you're pleasing me so well. Good girl. Go ahead, sweetie. Present the information,
There we
the science behind it.
All right, so there are a couple of things, right? And this is broken down into some details, okay? Functional differences, regional differences, connectivity and processing, gray and white matter, okay? So let's go
Functionary
ahead.
differences. So certain parts of the brain functions as a male, and which part is that?
Yeah, sure. So let's start off with functional differences, okay? So let's start off with females, okay? So oftentimes female brains are often found to have a stronger activity in what is called your prefrontal cortex. A lot of that basically is kind of like the basis of where personality kind of takes in for the brain, which is pretty cool. It involves all your planning, your judgment, your empathy, self-control, things of that nature. The activity typically in the female brain is found to be a lot stronger that in comparison to the male brain. All right.
Could it be that women think more
Oh no, absolutely.
or overthink more?
Absolutely. Well, here's the
Hmm.
thing. Not necessarily think more, just in a different way. You know, the stereotypical like tend and befriend, nurturing kind of
Oh,
mindset
but
that they
but
teach.
if it's that is incumbent, if those are based on the sexist stereotypes, then how can a male have these feelings when he's the male Smix?
That's where the psychological aspect comes in. So there's a bunch of different changes that can influence that pattern of thinking, whether it can be environmental influences, things of that nature. Before we get into that, let me also kind of
So
talk
so
about the
basically, you're
functional.
saying a male can adapt to his surroundings and take on, right, behavioral patterns from his environment. So the prefrontal cortex, what is his responsibility?
Let's see. Oh, what's the responsibility of the prefrontal cortex? Or are you asking me what the
Hmm.
function of like a male brain is in comparison?
No, I'm just asking what is the function of the prefrontal cortex?
Oh yeah, sure. So the function of the excuse me, Lord have mercy. The function of the prefrontal cortex is essentially it plays a crucial role in a lot of our cognitive functions. So this is where your decision making kind of takes place, memory, impulse control, things of that nature.
So basically, just like behavioral patterns, that's where you adopt behavioral patterns.
Yeah, and a good portion of your personality also
Okay,
takes place there as well.
wonderful. So it's not that a male has a female brain, it's just that the male, depending on his social environment, right? And the people that he's around, he may adapt to femininity.
Well,
So
not
it's not that he has a
necessarily.
female brain.
Not necessarily. Environmental influences can have one factor of that to where you can have a male who can be more nurturing. But like I
Yeah, but
mentioned in everything
that's
before,
incumbent upon his personality and his behavior and
that is also
his
incumbent.
environment.
Yes.
So he
Yes, that is
doesn't have a
incumbent.
female brain. You have to understand something about the prefrontal cortex. That is just basically where your adaptability is developed. Like if I am a baby and I was raised in China, all right? I was raised in China as a Jamaican, right? I grew up, I see the other children, right, eating noodles, right? They're wearing whatever Chinese people wear, right? Say I was in Asian China. My prefrontal cortex is just responsible for me developing my behavioral patterns and traits. So whatever environment I'm around, whatever people I'm around, I will build my personality based off that, surrounding that, right? And my behavior will be formed from that. That's the responsibility of the prefrontal cortex. So if a man is around females and he takes on the stereotypical attributes of females, that doesn't give him the brain of a female.
Well,
So
I
so
mean,
a man can't have the brain of a female because he's a male.
environmental factors aren't the only thing that can induce changes when it comes to the difference between sex and gender. Now, here's the thing. Environmental factors can very well play a role in a man who is a little more nurturing or maybe in touch with a feminine side.
Men are nurturing. My dad was very nurturing. I would
That's
say my
good.
dad was more nurturing than my mom, and he was a very masculine man.
Well,
Very
that's good.
masculine man.
Well, here's the thing. Just because you have a man who can be more nurturing or in touch with the feminine side doesn't mean that he automatically identifies as a female. That's not what I'm trying to
Exactly. So
That's
a
not what I'm
man being
trying
a
to tell you here.
nurturer, so
No,
a
this
man being a nurturer or a man being more in touch with his femininity doesn't make him a woman. You will not have the brain of a female because you have to understand the development of the brain in utero, right? And everything that encompasses the development of the brain in utero is based on your DNA. So you being a male fundamentally prohibits you from ever having anything remotely associated or affiliated with a female brain that doesn't even exist in science.
Well, not
It doesn't
necessarily,
exist in
because we
science.
only talked about functional differences. I haven't even talked about any of the other categories
Yeah,
in
it doesn't
regards
matter
to
what
differences.
category it is. A male cannot have the brain of a female because
Well,
first thing in neurology or neurobiology, the female brain doesn't exist. We recognize people in healthcare recognize the differences in the brain structure, but that is incumbent upon being male or female, right? So the physiology of the brain, certain parts being smaller, certain parts being bigger, right, is incumbent upon your DNA. So it is impossible, neurobiologically impossible, neurologically
it's
impossible
it's
for a
not
male to
actually
have the.
neurobiologically impossible at all, because here's the
Then
thing.
present
The
to me the
brain is an
science.
organ that actually is shaped in the way that can also very well be influenced on a social standpoint. And a lot of
Yes,
that also.
influences doesn't change the structure of the brain. That is incumbent upon your DNA.
No, the structure of the brain can also very well change when you also think of the whole concept of connectivity processing, especially considering when you think of neurological like biology in that regard.
Connectivity processing. What do you mean by that?
Okay, so here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. The other two categories that I wanted to mention for you and everything, connectivity processing, gray and white matter, okay? There have been studies that have found, okay, let me give you an example of someone who is trans, okay? Let's say we have somebody who is male-bodied, identifies as a woman, okay? So we have a trans woman, right? Connectivity and processing. Women tend to have stronger connections between the two hemispheres of their brain, while men have stronger connections within each hemisphere, okay? The difference in
Yes,
connectivity might relate to how brains process information and perform tasks. When we look at gray and white matter, however, obviously both men and women have gray and white matter. Like, duh. You can look on scans, you can see that's the case. Women tend to have a higher percentage of gray matter, and men have a higher percentage of white matter when controlling total brain volume.
So you're telling me that males who identify as trans have a higher gray matter?
They do. Let me finish. Let me
Where is
finish
the
real
science
quick.
behind that?
Yeah. So here's the thing. They have done studies that have shown that trans
Gray
women
matter responsible for?
I'm sorry?
What is the gray matter responsible for?
What is gray matter responsible for?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Gray matter. Let me take a look at that real quick, because that's very. What is gray matter? Let me take a look for you. I got you. Because if I have a computer in front of me, I might as well just look it up for you. Oh, interesting. Okay. It says right here, gray matter is primarily composed on neuron cell bodies and is responsible for processing and interpreting information, controlling muscle movement, and supporting various cognitive functions like memory, learning, and emotions.
Mm-hmm.
So, going back to the other point I was making.
Yes. So is it possible for males who do not identify as trans to have a higher percentage of gray matter as well?
Well, here's the thing. You have to think about it in a range. You can have an average amount of gray or white matter.
We can't do that. I'm asking you a specific question, darling. Do men who do not identify as trans also have a high percentage of gray matter?
I mean, I'm trying to answer that question.
Yeah, we just need yes or no, darling.
You can't answer that question with a yes or no.
Oh, you can.
No, because here's the thing, right? It's
darling.
Let me give no.
Please answer the question.
Let me finish, sweetheart.
Please answer the question. Yes or no.
I'm trying
having
to
such good
answer
conversation.
that question for you.
I know you're deflecting. That's not nice.
No, I'm
Do
not
men
deflecting.
who do not identify as trans also pose a possibility of having a higher percentage of gray matter?
They could, but there's an average.
I just need yes or no. I just need yes or no.
Babes, I can't give you a definitive yes or no. Everyone
need
has
a
different
definitive yes or
percentage
no.
range for gray matter. There is no definitive number of gray or white matter.
I do need a definitive number or a definitive yes, rather,
Baby,
Can
there's
men
no
who not
definitive amount
understand,
of gray or white matter in
do
brain.
men
You can
who
only give an
also,
average.
has there been a recorded, right, percentage of men who do not identify as trans that also have a higher level of gray matter in their brain? Yes or no?
Babes, not that I know of, no.
All right, maybe you should Google it.
Okay, let me see. All right, let's see here. Average. It only gives averages and everything. They
Oh,
say
but
on
it
it literally
also said
says.
yes. It also said yes. And can you
How
look
did
up if
how
there
did
are percentages? Can you also look up if there are percentages
how
of
did say
women with
yes? What'd
higher
you look
levels
up?
of white matter in the brain?
I already have it pulled up for white matter too, hun. I already have it
Mhm.
pulled up for white matter, gray matter. I don't know what you found that
hmm
says
So
yes, but
exactly.
here's
So seeing men who identify as trans having higher levels of gray matter doesn't mean anything. That's what I'm saying. With the brain, darling, it's not anything definitive where gray matter and white matter is concerned, right? So you can't
I
say
never said it was
categorically
definitive. I said
women
these studies
exactly.
show
So that's a bad
correlation
example.
and
That's a bad
relationship.
example because there are a plethora of men with higher gray matter than their average male counterpart, and there are plenty of women with higher white matter in the brain than their average female counterpart. So using that as a way to try to justify transgender ideology to me is just asinine. Me personally,
Well, I
right?
was trying to explain to you before you kept trying to force me into a
Darling,
yes or no
we're
perspective and
not
give me
forcing you
options
into
that there
anything. That
are
argument
only
is
averages. Like,
dismissed.
for
That
example,
argument is dismissed, ma'am. That argument is dismissed because
so
both men
you're
and women
allowed to
can have
speak, but
higher
I can't
levels.
speak.
Ma'am, it doesn't matter what you say,
Of course,
right? There are men
clearly it
and women with
doesn't.
higher. All right. So basically, your argument was just disproven. Is there anything else that you want to bring up as an
Well, it's
argument?
disproven because you don't let me speak.
Ma'am, it's disproven because science doesn't agree with you.
No, it's disproven because you don't let me get a point across, and you also
Ma'am,
keep
your
twisting the
point
word.
was dismissed because it's not
No, it
definitively
was
males or
deflected.
females that have this percentage of gray or
You know
white
what? That's
matter.
fine. We'll just go ahead and move on. Let's move on to the next point. Let's talk about cisgender and everything. How about that?
All right, sure, ma'am.
All right. So, may I speak, please, Mother
Somebody
dear?
says OS doesn't understand how science works. You poor thing. Anyway, go ahead, darling.
Thank
Continue.
you, Mom. Appreciate you. All
You're
right.
so
So,
welcome, sweetie.
all right. So, cisgender. Here's why cis is not a slur. Okay. The word cis itself is derived from Latin. It is a prefix. Okay. So, cis itself basically just means same side as, okay? Which is contrasting with the prefix trans that you are all familiar with, which just means across or other side, okay? Now, the biggest thing is people, when they hear specific words or prefixes, they kind of just align it to just a
Little
form of
dumpling, me
negativity,
love your name. Little
okay?
dumpling, me like your name. It's so
Well,
sweet. Are you Jamaican, little dumpling?
me?
Little dumpling, are you Jamaican?
No, I actually
You
have a
make me
Jamaican
feel,
boyfriend, though,
you make
but
me
no.
feel like to eat some dumpling now.
I do love me
Those,
some dumplings.
I'm sorry.
I do love me some dumplings, but no.
Was somebody talking to you, sweetie?
No, no, no.
Are the voices telling you that I was speaking to you?
You speaking to me now?
Alrighty. I didn't hear you. Go ahead.
Alrighty. So,
You're Antigua and big of yourself, look a dumb thing. Mike, you're not connecting, brother. Mike, you're not connecting. You may want to re-request, brother. Mike, re-request, darling.
Hello,
Hello, Boo. How old are you?
I'm 19.
Awesome. C, how old are you? All right, guys, can you block C? Thank you. Block C expeditiously. What year were you born?
2005.
Awesome, awesome. How can you say you were 19?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So, basically, my problem with the prompt is basically that I'm assuming when you say like cis, you're talking about like cisgender, right?
I don't know of any cisgender.
No, I just mean like I'm asking in what context are you referring it to?
In the same connotation that you referred to.
Okay, okay. So when you say like cis, like on its own, it's not always used in the context of gender. Like, for example, when it comes to chemistry, cis and trans is used to describe the arrangement of atoms. So it's not always used when it comes to gender. And so when people use
Is
cis
it
and
only
trans,
atoms?
sorry, say that again?
Is it only atoms that it's used to describe or to denote?
So it would be
Actually.
it would be the spatial arrangement of like atoms and molecules.
Okay, wonderful. So it's a biochemistry term.
Not necessarily biochemistry, but chemistry in general. Sure, yeah.
And so it doesn't involve the biology at all?
Well, it doesn't have to because when it comes to, for example, like atoms and
What are
molecules,
molecules?
yeah, molecules are compounds of atoms. But what I'm saying is,
Alone?
what I'm trying to say is that
No, answer the question. Is it alone?
What do you mean alone?
I don't understand what you mean. Does it
Yeah.
only refer to the compound of atoms?
No, what I'm saying is cis and trans can be used in a variety of fields because it can talk about different
You're
contexts.
deflecting and I don't like it. You said something, all right? And I need clarity.
Okay, I apologize. I'm not trying to.
All right. You said that cis, right, is a chemistry term that is used to denote like atoms and molecules. I asked you specifically, what are molecules?
Yeah, molecules are compounds of atoms. Compounds of atoms and elements.
I thought you knew what you were talking about when you came up.
Yeah, so it can be either biology or chemistry. All I'm saying
So if
is that
it's biology, so cis is a biochemistry term because it also describes or labels molecules.
yes, that's what I'm trying to say. All I'm trying to say is that it can be used in different contexts and different fields, and that it's not solely based on like people's gender identity.
All
That's
right.
all I'm trying to say.
Okay. So if it's a chemistry term in its origin, what does it have to do fundamentally with biology?
So it could be like a variety of things. If you're using it in like a biological context, I mean, it depends. If you're talking about like biochemistry molecules, or if you're talking about someone's like actual chromosomes and like what their sexual identity is, it could be a variety of things. The only point I was trying to make is that it can be used in a variety of contexts, aside from it solely being used as like cisgender and transgender. That's all I was trying to say, is that it can be used in a variety of contexts. And so if
So
you're
you're telling
using
me
it,
that cis can be used to describe a group of people.
what do you mean? I'm trying to be very respectful here. Like, I apologize if it seems like I'm deflecting or something like that.
All right. So you're saying that cis because it can be used in different elements or in different branches, can be used to describe a group of people?
Sure.
All right. So cisgender would describe a group of people based on what?
Based on their gender.
So you're saying that gender is based on your biology.
Well, so yeah, I'm of the belief, like personally, that like you are what you're born with. All I'm saying, like I'm not one of those people that's like, you know, you can choose what your gender is. All I'm saying is that the cis and trans can be used in a variety of contexts. And so if you're using it, like for example,
You're
in
not
chemistry,
answering my question, darling, and you're deflecting, and I don't like that, and it's making me frustrated.
I'm not
How
trying to.
how can we use cis to describe a group of people that is incumbent upon their biology? Go ahead and tell me.
If you're referring to like people who call themselves cisgender, that would be someone who identifies with the sex that they were assigned with at birth.
All right. So cis speaks to the biology.
In that context, yes.
So how can it be a social construct?
I never said it was a social construct.
So you're saying that gender is biological?
Yeah, I think so. The point
All
I was
right. So
trying.
how does transgender come in if gender is biological?
Yeah, so I think, like, for example, when people who call themselves transgender is they believe that they are a different sex or gender that they were born with. You know, like, I would personally disagree with that. All I came up here to say, like I don't have, like, you know, the
So
ideology
you
that,
agree with me
no.
that SMICS? All right, then how can SMICS and gender be different? And how can you say that trans means that you identify as the opposite SMICS, which would be a social belief, not one incumbent upon biology?
Yeah.
But SMICS is biology. So how can trans people exist and cis people exist if it's based on your biology? How can you say it's a social construct?
So I never said that sex and gender were
Big
different.
up on the
I
thing.
came up here
Listen,
to
ma'am, you're
I
not
came up
making
here
any
to respond
sense.
to the
Ma'am,
prompt.
listen. You're saying that there are trans people and there are cis people. How can trans people exist if gender is incumbent upon your biology? Because you just asserted that gender is biological. How can you change your biology to be a trans individual?
I don't think you can. I was just responding to the prompt that said cis was a slur.
All right. So I
That's all
don't
I
know
was
what this
responding
person
to.
is trying to come up and say. It is a slur because it's not a biological term. Cisgender is not a biological term. So you trying to force it upon us as a categorization would make it redundant. And then you wanting to say repetitively, you are cis because it's a scientific term that has nothing to do with my biology, right? It's irating me, it's belittling me, therefore making the term a slur. If you just asserted that cis and trans are scientific terms and gender is incumbent upon your biology, that proves that cisgender is redundant.
Yeah, I'm fine with you saying that
Doing
cis
it
is
to agitate
redundant.
me and belittle me, therefore making cis a slur.
Okay, I'm fine with you saying that cis is redundant, and I apologize if it feels like I'm belittling you, because that's not what I'm trying
Ma'am,
to do.
you speaking isn't belittling me. You ascribing a terminology on me is belittling. Because you can't even substantiate your argument. You're saying that gender is biological. You're not arguing that gender is biological. You're asserting the fact that cis can be used in biology because it's literally describing molecules. Right? It's used in biochemistry to describe like molecules, DNA. You're forgetting that part with cis. Right? Therefore making a biochemistry term. So how the hell no you're going to say that gender is biological in the same breath saying that cis people and trans people exist when you can't change your biology, because transgender would imply that you have the possibility of changing your gender.
That wasn't something that I claimed. Like that's not something that I said at all.
All right, let me ask the audience. Audience, smiley face if this person literally insinuated that trans means you identify as the opposite sex, while simultaneously saying that cis is a chemistry term, and forgetting that it's used also in biology,
No, I didn't
right?
say it was only used in
Implying that
chemistry.
you can change your gender
No,
by being transgender when
can
she
I
just
clarify?
asserted that gender is biological. Smiley face if that's what she's doing. I think
Can I
she's
clarify?
confused. Please clarify, sir, ma'am.
Yeah, so I wasn't saying that it's only used in chemistry. What I was saying that it's used in a variety of fields, both chemistry, both biology, and a variety of other things. So
It's predominantly used in chemistry.
yeah, that's fine. I wasn't saying it's only used in chemistry.
Yes, but ma'am, you just said that gender is biological. So explain transgender to me.
So I can explain to you what other people mean when they say transgender,
I'm
or
not
I can,
asking you about other people. I'm asking you to explain it to me. Because you're of the idea that trans people are valid, right? And that they can exist. When trans, as you just said it, in its origin, is a terminology that is used in chemistry, right? And other facets, right? That describes from one to the other. How can a male transform from a male to a female? Explain it to me.
I don't think that they can.
Then how do trans people exist?
I don't think that they do. That's not the point that I came up here to make.
All right. So you're saying that trans people don't exist. You're saying that cis people don't exist. But you're
Yeah.
saying that cis is not a slur. How is it not a slur?
Yeah, because generally what I take slurs to be are words that are used in historical contexts that perpetuate some type of violence against a group of people.
All right. It
So,
doesn't matter what you think. A slur is just a word or a phrase that is being ascribed to a group of people that perceive it to be demeaning, redundant, and hateful. So the fact that you just asserted that none of these categorization of people exist, that would make the word redundant, right? Because it's unnecessary. Because
yeah,
woman already describes the adult human female that is not identifying as trans. So you wanted to force cis on me would be doing it purely to demean me and agitate me, therefore making it a slur.
okay, I'm fine with you saying that it's a redundant term. I would be inclined to agree with that. But I
Yes,
don't
so
think
it's
that,
redundant, and you using it to describe me would
yeah,
purely be doing it to agitate me, to anger me, to demean
well,
me.
that would not be my intention. I
It
think,
doesn't matter what your intention is. A slur isn't incumbent upon the intention of the user, but how the group of people perceive it.
yeah, I mean, that can be true, of course, but it's also,
That cannot not be true. That is what a slur is. The slur and how it becomes a slur is not incumbent upon the user, but the person perceiving it. That is, it's being used to describe.
so, okay, so would that mean that if someone told me that, for example, like I was annoying and I interpreted that as a slur,
Annoying
then
is
it
a
would be a slur?
descriptor. Annoying is a descriptor that describes a person that is literally agitating you by, by using annoyance, picking at you. That
Yeah,
cannot
but
be used as slur. Let me tell you how a slur is. All right, say there is a group of people that we consider to be tall. So we came up with a classification for them, which is tall, right? You think, oh, these people, they look funny because they're taller than everybody else. I'm going to come up with a terminology that describes them. So you come up with lanky, lanky. Lanky also means tall, right? But you're using lanky, lanky to describe them, which is redundant because they already have a terminology that describes them in their physiology, in their physical, which is tall. But you're like, oh no, I think lanky lanky suits them and it's funny. I like it. It also means tall. And they're like, don't call me that. And you're like, but you are lanky lanky. Look how tall you are. They're like, hold on, tall already described me. Don't use lanky lanky. You're like, but that's what you are. Then that group of tall people can perceive lanky lanky to be a slur, even if you never used it, intended it to be a slur. They find it offensive, redundant, and agitating, and therefore making it a slur. Just like the R word. The R word was used to describe a group of people with an intellectual disability or a physical disability, right? They're like, I don't like being called the R word. It makes me feel lesser than. It makes me feel as if you're making fun of me because I have a learning or an intellectual or a physical disability. Therefore, they said, don't call me that. Don't call me that. It's a slur. It's hateful. And it doesn't matter if it's a medical terminology or not. The people that it's being ascribed to find it insulting and demeaning, therefore making it a slur.
So is lanky a slur then?
Ma'am, I don't know. Maybe you should ask tall people. I'm 5'2". Anyway, I'm glad you got the gist of it. And your perception of a slur is just that. The definition of a slur doesn't include what you perceive it to be. It matters what it's described as. It doesn't have to have a history of oppression behind it.
So
It doesn't matter what the person's using it intentions are.
So like anything could be a slur if someone interprets it that way then? If it's redundant?
Anything can be used as a slur when it's used to describe a group of people that perceive it to be an insult and redundant.
Okay. I mean, that seems kind of like arbitrary to me, but I mean,
It can be perceived to be whatever you think, darling. You're the person who believes that slur has to have a historical meaning behind it. So I don't even care about what you consider to be arbitrary.
so do you think slurs can have different levels of harm? Like some slurs are worse than
It
others?
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If a
No,
group of
I'm just
people
asking your
perceive
opinion.
it doesn't matter. If the group of people perceive it to be hateful, that's all that matters.
Okay, and what if someone doesn't perceive cis as hateful then?
One person from the collective not perceiving it to be a slur doesn't matter. It was the collective. It's dependent upon what the collective believes. I don't care if people call me the N-word. I like being black. I like everything associated with being black. I like my big lips. I like my coils, even though they're not plenty. I like my fat ass. I like my high cheekbones. I like my tan skin. So there's nothing that a person can say to me as a black person that will make me feel demeaned. But me as a black person not caring to be called the N-word, right? Doesn't take away from the fact that the group of people that are black perceive it to be offensive for whatever
Okay.
reason.
So how do you know that the majority of people who don't identify as trans find cis to be offensive?
Because the majority of us do not support nor ascribe to your community.
Well, I don't know what you mean by my community because like I didn't claim anything, but
Yeah, sure. Anyway, as I was saying, the majority of the world is very bigoted towards that demographic of people within that community. We
yeah,
can
but what
see
I'm
it from
asking is how you
Chile
know that.
because of the actions that is being perpetuated towards them. Do you think that people in Jamaica would take fancy to you calling them cis?
I don't know what I have no idea.
Well,
I
I'm
don't
a Jamaican and I can tell you. For all the Africans in here, just African, smiley face if you do not support the alphabet community and you would take offense to being called cis.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean
Hold
all I'm
on, you
saying is
asked me a question. I'm trying to get a consensus here. Hold on. All right. African people, would you feel offended being called cis? Look at non-Africans voting. Oh my God. A white woman voted cry tears. A white woman voted cry tears. Another white woman with cry tears. Another, why are white people voted with cry tears? You know I can see you. You know I can see you. I can see you. These people are diabolical. Anyway, well, the Negroes have spoken and we don't want to be called that. And Eastern Europe is very bigoted towards that community, which I'm sure you know. The majority of Asia as well don't ascribe to that community. China banned it outright. I think it's mostly places like the Philippines, Taiwan, that in Asia that actually support it. A little bit of Japan as well, but still you have to
Yeah,
keep that
I
to
think,
yourself.
was it Thailand that was the most recent that came out in support of it? I might be
Yeah,
incorrect.
Thailand, the Philippines, it also supports pedoism. So I'm not surprised that they would come out supporting that.
Okay, well, all I came up here was just to say that it wasn't necessarily just used in terms of, you know, like sex people were assigned at birth.
Yeah,
Um,
it doesn't, it's not using that connotation. People want it to be using that connotation. The only basis in which we use cis to describe anything, right? Before this cisgendered nonsense came about, it was a scientific terminology to describe
yeah.
molecules, DNA structures, or strains. That's all it is. But thank you so much for coming up, and you have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Hmm.
Would you mind just like kicking me? The new update, I don't know how to leave.
I don't mind at all. Hmm. Mods, can you kick the guest? Hmm. Thank you, moderators. Go tell it on the mountain, over the hills, and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountains
Hello?
that Jesus Christ is born. Hello, good day. How old are you?
I'm 20, about to turn 21 in a couple months.
Congratulations. How can I assist you?
Thank you. I genuinely have a question for you because I can see I don't want to call people something that they don't want to be called. And if cis is that for you, I was wondering what the alternative was. What would you want?
What you've been calling us for eons, women.
Okay. So, cool. Now we call you women. What do we call cisgendered men? Just men?
You just call men men and call women women.
All right. So, how do we make a distinction then?
Oh, a man already has a distinction. It's an adult human male. A woman already has a distinction. It's an adult human female. So all adult males should be called men. All adult females should be called women. It's already descriptive.
Okay, so if I'm writing an academic paper about blonde women and brunette women,
Mm-hmm.
and there are more brunette women than blonde women, I'm not going to just say the blonde women and the women.
Oh, you're going to say the blonde women and the brunette women. Just like if you're
Right.
writing a paper about men and women, you will say
Right,
the men
because
and the
cisgender
women.
is an adjective.
Hold on. Cisgender can't be an adjective.
Why not?
Woman is an
Cisgender
adjective.
is always used as an adjective. Women is a noun.
Cisgender is not an adjective. It's a social category that has no bearings in reality, especially if you don't ascribe to the transgender ideology. Woman is
Okay,
an adjective.
you
It
are
describes
using a
the human
definition
female.
to describe a part of speech. That's not what I'm getting at.
Ma'am, what is an adjective?
An adjective is a word that is used to describe a noun.
Is woman a noun?
Yes.
Is man a noun?
Yup.
Is woman an adjective?
No.
What does the woman describe?
The word woman is used to define a person, but that is not the same as being an adjective.
What does the word woman describe?
It defines a person.
What type of person?
It identifies a person who has feminine traits, was born typically with XY.
You know what?
Or not XY, XX.
A woman is an adult human female. So woman in itself is an adjective. It describes a being, a person. It describes the human female.
If you look up woman in the dictionary right now, it is not an adjective. I don't know how to explain this
I
to you, but
don't
it is
hear
a
what the
noun.
dictionary says. It matters if an adjective is a descriptive word. Isn't that what an adjective is?
No, an adjective is a word that defines a noun. A door describes a door. That doesn't
Is a
mean
woman a
it's an
noun? Is a
adjective.
woman a noun? Is woman a noun?
Yes.
An adjective is something that describes what?
I am in college as an English major right now. You're not going to tell
An
me I don't know what an
adjective is
adjective
something, is an adjective describes what?
A noun.
And is woman a noun?
Yes.
Then woman is also an adjective.
If you say, actually, in your case, the way that you're using it, female is an adjective because you're saying an adult female. Female's describing the adult.
Oh my God, the English major finally got it, people. Let's give her a round of applause.
Woman
One
is a
second.
noun.
No,
Female is an
no.
adjective.
The English major just got it, people. She just got it. Woman describes the female form in the adult human stage. So woman is also an adjective because it describes the female human being. So it's a noun and an adjective. So we don't need another adjective to describe us because woman describes what we are. It describes our physiology. It describes our DNA. It describes our biology.
Right, but there are different kinds of women.
There are no different types of women.
There are blonde women, brunette women. There are
Blonde
skinny
women are all
there are-
adult human females.
Okay. I don't think that you are understanding what I am getting at.
I don't think you're understanding. You're trying to make woman a subcategory that includes males. All women, black women are adult human females. Asian women are adult human females. Caucasian women are adult human females. Hispanic women are adult human females. Tall women are adult human females. Short women are adult human females. Skinny women are adult human females. Fat women are adult human females. Thick women are adult human females. It leaves no rooms for males.
Okay. Yes, I agree that all the adjectives you just used fit within that category. That is why there is a word for people who don't fit in that category.
Then they're not in that category. So we don't need the adjective woman added to them. We don't need the adjective woman added to them because they do not fit the descriptor of said adjective that describes the physiology of the adult female human.
Everything that you would define a human as right now, there's an intersex person who denies that category. Do you want to just exclude them from that? Do you know what intersex
intersex
is?
person falls under the binary of male or female.
No, they don't. They do not.
Name
There
one
are
that doesn't.
plenty. There are plenty of intersex women who have XY chromosomes.
Yes,
There are
they're
plenty
still
of
females. I think it's called Sawyer syndrome, where women are born with XY chromosomes, and it specifically affects women. Only females of the intersex condition have Sawyer syndrome.
there are plenty of different versions of intersex. I don't know if you've
All
looked them all up.
intersex syndrome fall under the binary of male or female.
They do
That's why
not.
you will. Yes, name
Otherwise,
one that doesn't.
if they all fell under the binary, then they wouldn't have it on their birth certificate as
Yes,
not
they
being
have
under the binary.
intersex female, intersex male.
How do you know? Because that's just not true. You're saying
Because
things
I
that just
know
are
it
not
is
true.
It is true, and I do know. You can
Okay.
use Father Google if you want. He knows all and he sees all.
Yes, and I'm sure that you just scroll way down until you find something
I
that.
don't need to use Google. I actually learned this in school.
Okay. Confirmation bias to the extreme.
Confirmation bias to the extreme. So you're saying that biology is confirmation bias.
No, I'm saying that relying on
Listen,
information that you learned in school and
I,
not.
I rely on my actual studies. Isn't
Mhm.
that how we learn? Isn't that how we become intellectuals?
Have
By
you read
relying on our
peer-reviewed studies of
brains?
transgender people then?
Peer-reviewed studies? Yes, it's a from what I've read, it's a psychological problem that
How do
deviates
you
from
treat a
reality.
psychological problem?
with intense psychotherapy and antipsychotic medications.
Okay, so you should treat psychological conditions with medications.
Yes, any psychological problem that deviates from reality should be treated with antipsychotic medication and intense psychotherapy.
Unfortunately, when they've done that with transgender people, it hasn't helped. You know what medicine
It
has
actually
helped
has
transgender
helped.
people? Hormone
It
transition
actually has helped.
therapy.
The hormone transitioning therapy has not helped them because the
Yes, it
self-analyzing.
has. It has
No, it's
scientifically
not.
proven to improve their
It's
quality of
scientifically
life.
been proven not to benefit them. There was a recent study published that showed that it doesn't benefit them because the
Interesting. There are
self-analyzing
several
rate,
studies published that prove it does benefit
none
them.
of
Do you
them
just
were
look for
long
the study
term.
that proves that it doesn't?
None of them were long term. This is the second long term. This is the third long term study that showed that after transitioning, there is no improvement on the patient. If anything, they develop other psychological problems such as schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, and a host of other mental health issues. They develop a dependency on narcotics and
Interesting.
alcohol.
Do you have the link to this study?
Sure. Adam, darling, can you post the study in the chat? Adam, my darling, please. I'm going to have to trouble you today again. Adam. Is Adam in here? All right, you can look this up. Examining the mental health of what do you call it? In examining the mental health of gender affirming care.
So many studies done that prove that it helps the quality of life of transgender people. So
None of them were
coming
long
with
term.
2 or
None of
3
them were long
studies.
term. None of them were long term. And even those studies dismiss themselves because after transitioning, the self-unaliving rate is nearly half.
Yeah, I wonder why when people like you get on live and say that they don't exist and that
You
you
know
hate
what?
them and
People
that they're
online
not
get up
normal.
every day and come up here and call me the N word. I'm not trying to off myself because people don't like me, my black ass. People, all throughout my life, people have not liked me because I'm black. And
And that's good for you. A lot of people don't end
black
up killing
people face
themselves.
the most oppression and discrimination of any other group of people in this world. And yet, even with poverty, object poverty, we still have the lowest self-unaliving rate of any other group, right? Poverty coupled with discrimination and hate simply because we exist. And yet we still have the lowest unaliving rate, self-unaliving rate of any other group. So don't come up here and tell me that it's oppression that caused these people to unalive. It is them unaliving themselves because they're not mentally stable. So what needs to be addressed with this demographic of people is the mental health, right? Look on what caused them to not like themselves to begin with. Look at the dysphoria that they present themselves with that could be caused by childhood trauma, aka SA.
Okay, so now you're saying that therapy is the answer. Earlier you were saying
Psychotherapy is
Yeah,
therapy.
psychotherapy was the answer.
Psychotherapy is therapy.
So you were talking about medications for people with
Yes,
schizophrenia.
antipsychotic medication. If a person is living in a reality outside of the reality, that means they're experiencing psychosis and delusions. Antipsychotic medication will help with that. Intense psychotherapy would help with the delusions that they're experiencing and to helping to guide them out of it and taught them out of the delusions that they're experiencing and living in. Okay, ma'am? Okay.
What are the
Anyway.
side effects for people who take those medications who don't have psychosis? Because plenty of people that I'm familiar with are very grounded in reality, and they are transgender.
So if a man believes that he's the opposite sex, is that being grounded in reality?
I want you to answer my question, actually.
No. If a man believes that he's the opposite sex, is that being grounded in reality, ma'am?
I am not going to engage with you anymore.
Exactly. Yeah, you're gonna leave. She left. She's a runner. She's a track star. She gonna run away when it gets hard. Hello, good day. How old are you?
47.
Awesome. How can I assist you?
Hey, so transgender people don't believe that they're the opposite sex. They're what it is their gender is not congruent with the sex they were born with, and dysphoria is not the same thing as being transgender per the DSM-5.
All right, I'm looking up trans women right now, and it says a trans woman is a person whose gender identity may not correlate with the sex that they were born, and identifies
Correct.
as the opposite sex. So they do believe that
Well,
they're
wait,
of
wait,
the opposite
you
sex.
just added the last part.
All
You
right, do you
just
want to
added the
look up
last part yourself.
look up trans woman and tell me what it says?
I don't have to. I know plenty of trans people.
I'm literally reading the definition, and that's what it says.
Okay.
They don't
Okay,
identify
you
as
know
the
that.
sex that they were born. So it does have to
And do
do
you know
with them
that
believing they're the
definitions?
opposite sex.
Do you know that dictionary definitions are descriptive, not prescriptive?
Dictionary
So what they do is
definitions are descriptive,
they
not
describe the common
prescriptive.
use of
I'm
words.
going to ask you something. What does prescriptive mean?
Prescriptive means if the dictionary is prescriptive, that would mean that the dictionary dictates what we're supposed to think words mean. But that's not what a dictionary is. It's descriptive. It describes the common use of words.
What is murder?
It's a legal definition of unaliving somebody.
What does it mean? Okay, I'm going to have to
Unlawfully unaliving.
remove you.
I'm sorry? Why?
Oh, they're
Because I'm
saying
too
I have to
smart for you?
remove. They had said I have to, sweetie. You're not smart because you just said it had
Okay.
nothing to do with their smekes, and the definition literally says
I
that they
didn't say it had
identify the
nothing.
opposite
No,
smekes.
that's not what I.
Yes,
That's not
you
what I
did.
said.
You did. I'm gonna have to
I said
drop you. I don't
being
know
trans.
why, but they're flagging you. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah,
I don't
sure.
know if you see it
All
popped
right.
up. You can come back after 10 minutes. Come back after
No,
10
it's
minutes.
okay.
I don't know why it's flagged, but it says they were flagged. I don't know why. I can't afford for my life to be taken down. Come back after 10 minutes. Bring him up, guys, if he re-request.
Hi.
Hello, good day. Oh, older you
Hello.
come?
20.
Hi, I'm 24.
Awesome. How can I help you guys? No, he was not correct. I was correct. He said it had not. They don't believe that they're the opposite sex, but the definition
So,
of a trans woman says that they want to be the
So
opposite
what
sex.
so are you implying that there's only two sexes then?
Is there another?
There's intersex, which is
Cam,
both
Cam, did you come on
in
my
the
live
middle.
before? 1 second, darling. Cam,
yeah,
have you?
I've been in your live for the past 15 minutes just listening and getting up to speed with the conversation.
Oh, I thought you
Um
were different, Cam. I thought you were one of my boys. It's okay. 1 second. Let Leaf go ahead. Continue, Leaf.
Pardon, sorry.
Yeah, continue.
Um
I just
well
have a
there's
soft spot for the
intersex, which
boys,
is
even when
the
they hate me. So I thought he was one of my friends. But go ahead.
yeah, so I'm taking biology right now, so that's why I was intrigued.
Oh, so you're saying that there are more than
Specifically
two
with anatomy.
smexes? So you're saying that there's more than two smexes?
Well, biologically speaking, yes, there are.
All right, name the other smexes.
It's not a binary spectrum. It is technically a binary. No, it is a binary spectrum. It's not a factor of just two things. It's not just binary, right? It's in
So
between.
you're saying that it's a binary spectrum. How
So
can
there's
it be
also
a
people who
binary
have
and a
none.
spectrum at the same time?
There's also people who have no. There's people who have no genitalia, right? Who
All
are
right, a
born
person
without
who is
that.
born with no genitals is still anatomically male or female.
Not necessarily, because that's also implying that there's only two X and Y chromosomes, which there isn't.
We're
There's
not
a multiple
speaking.
comma.
Chromosomal markers aren't
That's
necessarily
what
the
that's what
smexes.
defines your sex.
No, it's
Correct?
not. What
Yes,
defines
it
your
is.
smex is your
Do you not?
DNA.
That is yes. Your chromosomes are in your DNA. What makes up your
Your
DNA?
chromosomes are in
Genomes.
your DNA, but there are
Your
chromosomal
DNA
defects
is
that
made up of
happen.
genomes.
Ma'am,
Your
ma'am,
DNA is made up
ma'am,
of chromosomes. Have
ma'am,
you ever taken a
you yelling
biology
and
course,
talking over
please?
me. We want to
Oh
hear
my
you, Miss
goodness.
Biologist. We want to hear you. So
I'm
your
just
argument is
confused.
that, yeah, we know you're confused. That's the problem. So
Because
listen,
how do
ma'am.
you, where do you
Ma'am,
think your
calm down. You're the biologist here. I'm just a woman and talking on the internet. We want you to cook. We want you to be a chef and cook, right? Open up a restaurant in the box if you need to. Let's speak on biology. All right, and the smixes. All right, Leaf, unmute yourself. Leave, unmute yourself, please.
Yeah, sorry.
All right. So you just said that the smixes are not binary because of intersmixism. Name me the gametes that intersmix people produce.
My
What?
question is,
Do you know what a
how is the
gamete
prompt
is?
talking about cis is a slur and you jumping all over the place, trying to confuse these people when they come up here saying what they want? There's
Precisely.
Go ahead, darling. Name me the gamete that
So do you know what a
intersmix
gamete
produce.
is?
No, I don't know, Miss Biologist.
So
Can
a
you
gamete
educate me?
makes up your chromosomes. Your chromosomes make up your DNA.
So your gamete makes up your chromosomes.
Yeah.
So a woman
So
with
when a cell
XY
divides
chromosome,
and
one
when it goes
second.
through
So you're
mitosis,
saying that a
which
woman with
determines your
XY
sex,
chromosome, hold on. So you're saying that
meiosis.
a female with XY chromosomes,
What
what gametes does she produce?
they produce X and Y. Okay, the gametes are the segments that
I
that
don't think
make
that
up.
this person is what
Oh
they're
my
saying they
goodness.
are. Because this person don't know what a
No, I'm
gamete
just
is.
okay.
This
I'm
person
studying
doesn't
this, so
know
you can't expect me to know
Ma'am,
absolutely
but you
everything.
came up
So
talking like you knew what
I'm
you
not
were
saying
talking
I'm a
about.
biologist here. I'm saying I'm studying
All right,
biology.
ma'am, go and study some more and then come back.
No, okay, here's the thing. A chromosome is
Study some more and come back. All right. Thought you knew what she was talking about. What's going on? Can we bring up another guest? We do not tolerate bigotry or hate. We do not tolerate transphobia or homophobia. We do not tolerate any type of bigotry or harassment or bullying on this live. The live is for educational and entertainment purposes only. No one is
Hello.
being harassed or bullied on this live. Hello, good day. How old are you?
45.
You don't sound 45.
Thank you.
Okay, how can I assist you?
No, I'm just, everything you're saying, I'm 100% agree with. I've been looking on TikTok and it's just so much mental health issues all the time. Like, people need to understand this and mental health.
Exactly, darling. You have a wonderful day, Ray.
Thank you. You too.
All right, darling. Take care. Take care. Very smart man. Can we bring up another guest? Is there anybody else that wants to come up? Hello.
Hello.
Hi, good day. How old are you?
28.
Awesome. What are your thoughts? Oh, hold on. Tor, how old are you and what are you what year were you born, Tor?
I am 24 and I was born in 2000.
All right, wonderful. All right, go ahead, Nave.
So, like, regardless of what's been said prior in the live, my point in the debate is what is posted online discussion. Cis is a slur. Cis is not a slur. It's an adjective, no different than trans is an adjective and not a slur. Saying a trans woman or a cis woman are no different than saying man or woman. It's an
It is
adjective,
different.
not a slur.
It is different because it implies that woman is an umbrella term, which it is not. It can't be used as an adjective to describe women when women is an adjective in and of itself that describes the human female
No,
of the adult
woman,
stage. Yes.
woman is a noun.
Woman is also an adjective.
It's not.
What does woman mean?
A woman is a noun. Like we're
What does
discussing
woman mean,
basic
sir?
language right now.
What does
No,
woman
that's
mean,
not an
sir?
argument. That's not an argument. You said it's an adjective. That's not
Sir,
an adjective.
ma'am, sir, what does woman mean?
It means a person with femme at like parts.
What? We can't hear
But
you, sir. Speak up.
woman means a person that is describing themselves as what is socially constructed as a feminine person.
The word femme, do you know where it's derived from?
I do. Do you know what an
What
adjective
does
or
it
a noun
mean?
is?
What does
No,
the
no, no,
word
no.
femme mean?
You can't just like
What does the word femme
direct to
mean?
a different discussion.
What does the word femme mean?
You haven't responded to my actual point.
What does the word femme mean in its origin?
You haven't responded to my
What's the
actual point.
etymology of the word femme?
Feminine.
Femme is derived from female. Female. So just because a man takes on the female aesthetic
So you
doesn't
still have
make him a
not
woman,
you have
sir.
still not addressed
Sir,
my original
sir,
point.
the argument is addressed. The word woman describes the female.
No. My original point was cis versus trans as an adjective.
Yeah, cis can't be used as an adjective.
It is an adjective. It
It can't
literally
be.
is
No,
an
it's not an
adjective.
adjective. Cis literally means
It
on
is a
this side,
descriptive
and
word
it's
of a
a
noun. That's what an
biochemistry
adjective
term.
is.
You
Do you understand
want it to be
basic
used as an
English?
adjective.
Do you
The
understand basic language?
the etymology of the word cis in
Do
its
you
origin.
understand basic language?
Sir, I'm giving you the etymology of the word. You're here
You're
just
trying to
speaking
give me. You're trying
Japanese.
to derive
I'm
to
giving you the
etymology,
etymology of the word.
but you're
Sir, the
saying it's
word
not an
cis
adjective, and
means
that's what
on
an
this
adjective
side.
is.
The word cis means on
It's a
this
pronoun
side
or an
or on the
adjective.
same side, sir.
You
Right?
are
It's a
comparing it to a
biochemistry
noun.
term that is used in science to
You're
describe
wrong.
like molecules, like
You're wrong,
DNA.
and that's fine. You're
He
wrong.
says I'm wrong.
No,
All right,
you're
take care,
wrong.
sir.
You're a
Take care.
fucking idiot.
Yeah. Your beard is smothered with the essence of many men, right? I'm not the one tickling Adam, right? In his back door and then saying I'm totally hetero. I'm not the one doing that. I'm not the one doing that. No one was bullied or harassed on this live. No one was bullied or harassed on this live. The live does not condone any type of discrimination or hate or harassment or bullying or hate speech towards anyone from the LGBTQIA community. No transphobia is tolerated, no homophobia is tolerated, and no heterophobia will ever be tolerated. Hello, Tor. Go ahead. What are your thoughts?
Hi, I just had like kind of a question of clarification. Because like, you know, you see people in the trans community saying like, oh, that is a cisgender woman or a like transgender woman and whatnot. Like I, as someone who is biologically female and was born biologically female and identifies biologically female, I would never want to describe myself as, you know, a transgender, like as a trans person, right? So when someone asks me, you know, say from the LGBTQIA community, like how would, if cis is a slur, how would we go about describing ourselves to someone in that community?
Oh, a woman is very descriptive. It means that you're an adult female human.
But I would also say that trans women are also women.
You'd have to show me how a male can become a woman.
I mean,
show me how a male can become a female.
I think a big part of femininity is, you know, the mindset that we hold. It's not all biology.
I am not feminine at all. I am one of the most masculine, assertive, domineering women that you'll ever come across. And that doesn't take away from my womanhood. Femme in femininity stands for females. So
But
that in itself is exclusively women. Just because you ascribe to femininity doesn't make you feminine. You're just a man, right? Just cosplaying in femininity doesn't make you a woman.
I mean, I would say people who like femininity is and masculinity is more than just a biology makeup.
It
You
is
know,
actually a biological makeup because the word femme, it excludes males.
okay, but I that's why I included both of them. Is
Yes,
that
so femme in
it's more
itself
than
is exclusively
just
females.
it's more than just, you know, what is inside of my pants, essentially. Like,
It
you know
is
what I mean?
exactly what is inside my pants that makes me a woman.
So you're anti-trans, is what you're saying.
I'm not, I can't be anti something that doesn't exist.
Okay, so you are.
So that would be like me, you saying you're anti Santa Claus. How can I be anti something that doesn't exist?
I mean,
Just because I
because
say Santa Claus isn't real doesn't mean that I hate him because he's a fictional character.
okay, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't go around telling children that, like, you know what I mean?
You know what? I don't celebrate Christmas.
And that's
Nobody in my
okay.
house celebrate Christmas. Nobody in my household believes in Santa Claus. I
I
grew up
mean, neither do
knowing
I.
that Santa Claus was make believe and that just morbidly obese Caucasian men put on wet red suits and just said ho ho ho, right? And sat in like Walmart and like Target and stuff like that. That's all I knew. I never had the belief that Santa Claus was real. So me
Yeah.
saying Santa Claus isn't real doesn't make me Santa Claus phobic. It's just me adhering to reality.
Yeah, but I wouldn't ever put anyone down because of the fact that
I'm not
they.
putting anybody down by speaking facts. The truth hurts those who live a lie. That's not my business.
So if you were like not a part of that community, I just like I don't really overly think that like you should be speaking on the fact of
You know
if
what?
this is a
Males
slur or
are not a
not.
part of the woman community. And here they are trying to speak on women's issues.
Oh, I
Males are
completely agree
not
with you.
women. Males are not a part of the woman correlation. Nowhere in womandom has there ever been a prostate.
Oh,
But
I
here
completely
men
agree with
are
you.
telling women how to be, telling us that we're cis, telling us that, we're birthing persons. Stay out of our business and we won't be in yours.
Yeah, I mean like I think biological males, you know, should kind of step back on the like speaking about people who have uteruses. And like
Who have
what we should be able
uteruses?
to.
Who has uteruses? I'm confused.
Okay, see, I am not anti-trans, so
I'm
I'm
asking you, who has uteruses?
people who were born biologically female. Doesn't
Yes,
mean that they
that includes
identify as
girls. That
biologically female
includes girls
now.
and women. The people that are born female, you don't have to say biological female because female is a biological term in and of itself. So the people that were born females are girls and women. So women have uteruses. Thank you very much.
Okay, I just like once again don't really think that it was like it's a good topic to hold if you're not going to
Well,
defend.
you know what? You know
It's
what,
kind of
sweetie?
misleading.
You know what, sweetie? You fail to substantiate your arguments, right? I know you're special
How?
pleading, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I've never cared about strangers on the internet feelings. Yesterday, the day before yesterday, 2 years ago, 3 years
I'm not
ago, four
saying that
years
you
ago,
do.
and I'm not gonna start today. All right? Thank you.
Okay, crazy.
No one was harassed or bullied on this live. No one was harassed or bullied on this live. I do not condone any type of harassment, bullying, or degradation, or any type of hate or hateful rhetoric to anyone from the LGBT community or otherwise. This live is an LGBT safe space, right? The boxes are ready for you. Lots of KY jelly and a sprinkle of doo-doo. All right, you can slip right in. The boxes are ready. We smothered them with KY jelly, banana flavored. Hello, good day.
Hello, good day, Shanta. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me on your live.
Anytime, anytime. Do you mind stating your age for TikTok?
Yeah, sure. I'm actually 29 years old.
Awesome, awesome. What are your thoughts?
So there's a couple points. I will say, Shanta, that I do believe that cis is also a slur coming from a trans woman. I am a trans woman. Um, and I say that because, like, women are just women. You know what I mean? Like, there's no need to be delusional about this thing. Like, I know that I, one, will never ever be a biological woman in my entire life. No matter what surgeries I get, no matter what pills I take, I will never in my life be a biological woman, ever. Secondly, I will say that trans is an adjective. So that just the same way that I do not consider myself a biological woman, I do consider myself a trans one because I am getting medically treated. This is something medical, and I think that there needs to be a differentiation between transgender and transsexual. Do you have a question about that?
I already know the differences. This is something that I'm very, very familiar with. My problem is, with all due respect, is the word woman and the connotation that it has. I believe that people who
Right.
identify as trans should be labeled as trans individuals rather than attaching
Okay.
woman to it. Because to
And
me,
you
that
know,
opens
I don't
opens
necessarily
woman
agree.
for an umbrella
I don't necessarily
term.
disagree with you. Right.
hmm
I don't I completely don't disagree with you because I am trans. Like I said, this is something that I am being medically treated for. This is, something that I have gone to therapy about. This is something that I can't help. But this is also something that I don't think should be made such a big deal. I feel like a lot of the people that speak on trans issues, one, don't need to be speaking. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about people that call themselves trans. I think that there are people educating people about what trans is that don't need to be educating people also. But yeah,
Thank you
that's
for
mainly
that.
that's mainly the only point that I had to make was that, I do believe that like cis at times can be a slur because I don't you see, Shanta, I came up in a point whenever the transsexuals were transsexuals and the women were women. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
does that make sense?
Yep. Everybody used to go about their business. Nobody used to care about anything. But
Exactly. I feel like before the pandemic, I never ever got caught in the crossfire of all of these different conversations. Just, you know what I mean? Because, like I said, like the transsexuals were transsexuals, the women were women. That's it. That's all it needs to be.
exactly. But them wanting to just take away womanhood completely from women and, forcing it upon us is when
Which is
everybody
crazy
pushed
to me.
back.
Which is so crazy to me. You know what I mean?
hmm
Like
Exactly.
that's honestly crazy to me. I think that like as trans people, there need
What happened?
sorry. I think sorry. I was getting a phone call, but I think that
hmm
as trans people, I think that there needs to be some sort of reality that we have to carry with ourselves. Like we are responsible to not be delusional in these things because I,
Exactly.
for one, I do not understand what it means to be trans without having dysphoria. You know what dysphoria is, right?
Yep, I do.
But there's so many people these days that call themselves trans that do not experience this
It's
dysphoria.
become a fad. It's become a
Exactly.
fad.
It's
It's
become
become
a
a social
trend.
contingent.
There's this one word that I love. It's called trans-trender. Do you know what that means?
Ooh, they report in the live. The live is
Oh
about
no.
civil discourse, educational, and entertainment purposes. No one is being harassed or bullied on this live. There's no hate speech being disseminated towards anyone on this live. Go ahead.
Yeah, everyone, just so you know, I don't feel attacked. I don't feel disrespected. We're having a genuine conversation, and I think that trans people need to learn how to have more, um, I guess, important conversations and respectful conversations.
hmm
Anyway, what was I saying, Shanta? I'm sorry.
Yes, I think you were speaking on trans, like people who are self-diagnosing and it becoming a social contingent of sorts.
Yeah, because you know that whenever people start self-diagnosing these things, it becomes almost an erasure to the people that genuinely do experience medical dysphoria. Um, it erases, the reality of people that are medically transitioning so that they don't uh, unalive themselves, for the lack of a better word. You know what I mean?
I don't believe that people who are dysphoric unalive themselves because of the dysphoria. I believe that there are other mental health issues in accordance to that, because at the end of the day, the discomfort that you feel with your body presents itself as this type of dysphoria. But what is the cause of the discomfort
Of the
within your
dysphoria,
body? Yes, and
I
from
would.
what I understand and from what I've seen, it's typically trauma.
That is a study. That is a very valid study that has happened. But whenever we get off this live, Shanta, I would love to send you some resources about different medical studies of dysphoria and things like that. Some people genuinely do go through trauma, and that's just a fact. A lot of times people go through trauma, and that is a fact. But there are also cases that are more than half of the statistics that trans people genuinely do feel like they are born with dysphoria,
Yes,
which is why it becomes a
that's
medical
why it's a
issue.
mental illness. Because
Yeah,
if
exactly.
if you genuinely believe that you were born in the wrong body, that's a disassociation from reality, darling. Let's keep it a buck.
Exactly.
Because if
No,
I
no,
if
no, no.
I believe that I was if
Go ahead, Shanta.
Yes, so that's why I cannot support the whole ideology in and of itself, because I think that the fundamentals are not being addressed. When a person is experiencing this type of dysphoria, it should be treated with psychotherapy, counseling, and antipsychotic medication, not affirmation. Because there was a recent publication of a long-term study that showed that even with transitioning, the self-unaliving rate actually goes up.
Would you mind sourcing that?
No problem. I'll definitely send it to you. I'll give you a follow.
Thank you.
And there's another study that the person who conducted it refuses to publish because they said, and I quote, this could lead to a ban on transgender treatment for individuals. She said it
Yeah.
herself. Her clinic is currently being sued. You can look up Ashley Olsen Kennedy.
Hold on one moment. Let me get my laptop out. Um, Shanta, this is a really great conversation. I will say that we have had our first disagreement. Would you mind if I speak on it?
Sure, speak on whatever disagreement you have, darling.
Sure. So, I will say that I agree that dysphoria needs to be taken as a mental illness. It is. I do agree with that. Which is why I feel like I'm medically transitioning, because it is a medical issue. Does that make sense?
I'm gonna be honest with you. It's not a medical issue; it's a psychological one.
Okay,
Um,
but the thing is, Shanta, is that like I said, it's my responsibility. It's nobody else's responsibility to handle these things. And I
it's
feel
our
like
responsibility as a society to not allow the most vulnerable within our society, children, people who are suffering from mental health issues, right, physical issues, to just allow
right,
themselves to go into wasting. If
right.
I've researched all of this, darling. That's why I speak on this topic. And if I found anything in science that collaborated the trans ideology, I wouldn't be speaking on it the way that I do.
Right,
If I found anything in
right.
science, medicine, psychology, sociology that showed that, affirming this condition actually benefited the individuals, I wouldn't be speaking against it. But fundamentally, overall, the self-unaliving rate actually increases after medically transitioning. Having the bottom surgery actually increases the mental health, what's the word? The mental health issues surrounding these people, right?
Right.
It also causes other mental health issues like schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, did obsessive compulsive disorders, and a range of other, disorders mentally. It
Right.
also
Hmm.
increases the probability or increases the, what's the word I'm trying to use? The,
Find it, girl. Find it.
I'm not trying to get it flat because they're reporting the live. It actually
Guys, stop
increases
reporting the
the
live. Stop reporting the
dependencies,
live.
the
This is a good
dependence.
conversation.
It actually increases the dependence on
Uh-huh.
certain things,
Right. Okay.
right? So that's why I
Uh-huh.
can't support it.
Right. And see, that's where this conversation always gets so uh, tricky and it gets so sticky because this is such a subjective matter. You know what I mean? Like this is something that's so filled with like nuances that people that don't experience it would never understand. Just the same way I'm
In
sure
my
that like
opinion,
uh-huh.
it's not subjective, it's objective, because objectively, we should not be allowing people to cut off healthy functioning
See,
body
but
parts.
that's also a subjective opinion, Shanta.
No, it's not subjective, it's objective.
No,
Because
darling. No, darling, it's not.
let's be objective here. If
Okay.
I said to you, I feel as if I should have been born disabled so I can live off government assistance and not have to work. You
Uh-huh.
know what I need you to do, Olive? Throw bleach in both my eyes and make me permanently blind. You would say to me, no,
Shanta.
Shiloh. You would say, no, Shiloh. Are you okay? And objectively, I
Oh,
wouldn't
I'm
be
sorry. Is your
okay.
name Shiloh? Is your name Shiloh? Have I been
Oh,
called
yeah,
wrong?
it's my name is Shiloh. Sorry. You would
Oh,
say
sorry. I'm
Shante.
sorry.
No, you can call me
Okay.
Shante. It's okay. You would say
Okay.
Shante. No, I can't do that. That's wrong.
Right.
Because
Right.
objectively, something has to be wrong with me mentally to
Hmm.
want to physically blind myself.
And
That's not
Shantae,
objective. That's objective.
and you know what's so crazy is that
Hmm.
some people do, baby, and that's just the reality that we live in. That's the
Yes,
reality
some
that
people
you live
do it
in,
and they're mentally unwell.
and that is a subjective opinion, my love.
That's not subjective, that's
It
objective.
is.
If you ask anybody who studies psychology, they will tell you objectively that that person's mental state is deviating from reality and they're not only a danger to themselves but others.
As somebody who's married to a psychologist,
Can you put
I
them on the phone?
they're actually at work right now. Um,
Well, you
yeah.
can get your psychologist to come on anytime and I'll speak with
I
them.
would love that. Can we actually schedule that? That would be.
Yes, darling, I'll be on
I think that
all
would be a
day.
really. I think that would be a really great conversation, actually.
I think so too. I'll be on all day. I'm gonna end this live in the next hour,
Hmm.
but I'll be on probably at 2, 3, depending on
Okay.
what time zone you're in.
Hmm.
And I'll definitely love it if your partner could come on and have a
That would be.
conversation.
I think that would be something that would be good, for people to
Hmm.
hear. Um,
I think so too.
yeah. Shanta, I just want to say that this conversation was fantastic, and I want your listeners to know that like there is a way that we can have these constructive and very perspective changing conversations with each other without it being uh, aggressive or feral,
Exactly. Exactly. I'm always here for civil discourse. Always here for civil discourse. And I
Absolutely. Thank you for
appreciate you
having
coming
me,
up and
Shanta.
having a conversation with me.
Please absolutely connect me with sources and I will try to set something up
Definitely.
with my husband. Yeah, that'd be great.
Definitely. I gave you a follow. I'll send you both the links that I'm speaking on.
Thank you so much, Shanta. Have a great day.
You as well. You as well. Who are the oppositions in the queue? Who are the oppositions in the queue? So I can bring you up. All right. The mods brought somebody up. Hello. Good day. How old are you?
Hello, I'm 18.
What year were you born?
2006.
Okay. How can I assist you?
Okay, before I get to my main point, I would just like to say something really quick if that's okay with you.
Sure. Go ahead.
I just want to say, like, I'm gonna come up here and be very respectful, and I would appreciate it if you could give me that same respect back by like not interrupting me, please. That
Oh,
would be
I
great.
will definitely interrupt if I feel the need to. And the thing is,
Um,
you don't respect me. What we can do is have civil discourse. So if you afford me cordiality, I'll afford you the same cordiality and civility, right? But
um,
respect is something that is earned. I'm sure you don't respect me.
okay,
All
okay.
right.
I
So,
understand. I understand.
all right, wonderful. Go ahead
So,
and present your argument.
my point is, I'm just curious on how you think that cis is a slur. That's all I really need to know.
Because it's demeaning, it's insulting, and it's redundant, and it's being used purely and solely to agitate women.
Okay.
Specifically.
Yeah, I understand. But I got the definition of a slur, and it is oh, is a gosh, I'm so sorry. Okay.
Take your time. Take your time.
Okay. So I also have the definition of cis. By the
Yeah.
way,
So you said you got the definition of a slur. Can you tell us what it is?
it is a derogatory label that is assigned and used against members of a group to oppress them. Slurs hold oppressive power.
Oh, who
And
did you ask? Chat GTP?
oh no, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Where did you get that definition from?
I went to Google and looked for the definition. I researched and all that.
Well, I
And
got the definition of a slur right here too.
all
And
right.
it's just a word or a phrase that is used to describe a group of people, right, that perceive it to be an insult.
All right. Well, cis is not supposed to be an insult whatsoever. I apologize if anybody in the LGBTQ is saying that as an insult.
You know what? The thing with an insult as well, it's not incumbent upon the person using the word that makes it a slur. It doesn't matter their intention behind it. What makes it a slur is if the group of people want nothing to do with it and perceive it to be insulting.
Okay, I understand. Right here, I researched a bunch on this so I wouldn't come off as wrong or like whatever. I looked at many sites, and this is what every site said. A person whose gender identity corresponds to their sex assigned at birth, which means cis is just like a shortened version of biological female and biological male. It's not supposed to be insulting in any way whatsoever. It's really not. It's just supposed to be a shortened version of biological female and biological male. Again,
All
it's
right.
it's
So
not.
it has to do with somebody who ascribes to the gender ideology and how they perceive themselves. So as for the majority of society, we do not ascribe to the T gender ideology. We do not want to be affiliated with it, and we do not want to be called in any connotation towards that. So we don't have a gender identity. We know our gender, which is male and female. So calling us cis is redundant and hateful.
I mean, absolutely, I agree, but since cis haven't oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. It hasn't had like an awful background like all the other like
We just
slurs.
read the definition of a slur. It doesn't have to have an awful background.
I
A slur is incumbent upon who it's being used to describe,
I
right?
understand that. I
So if
understand
we
that.
just don't want to be called that, it makes it a slur, especially when it has nothing to do with actual biology, right? It's just a made up term by a group of people that we do not ascribe to, right?
Yes,
Remember,
absolutely.
cisgender has to do with a person's gender identity.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe in transgender identity. I don't believe in that ideology. So I
Okay.
don't want to be affiliated with it.
Okay, I understand that. I understand your opinions, of course. But just curious, like, what do you find so offensive of being called cis? Like, why does that offend you in ways?
Because it undermines and takes away from my womanhood.
How was that? exactly?
Because it's demeaning. You're telling me that I'm a figment of somebody's imagination. You're
Oh
telling
no.
me that me as a woman within myself does not exist, right? You're telling me that I'm a social construct, and you're giving my rights to men.
Oh no. That's cis is not supposed to be disrespectful to biological men or women in any possible way. All it's supposed to
It's not
do.
supposed to, but we perceive it as.
Yes, I understand that. But that's also the same as any other insults, like calling somebody a bitch. You can find that disrespectful,
Yes, that
and
that is a slur in connotation
um,
with women.
I don't understand how that is a slur.
The
It is
B
a
word is a slur, and that's why you can't say it, because it's in connotation with women. So when you use a word to describe a group of people, right? Right? In a derogative way, or they perceive it to be derogative, when you call them that, that's what makes it a slur. So the B women, right? Okay? As a descriptor. So women perceive it to be an insult. Like if a man goes up to a woman and say, F you, you biatch, she's gonna be insulted, right?
yes, yes, absolutely. She is going to be very insulted, and the word.
If you call a group of women the B word, they're gonna be insulted.
Yes, absolutely, but that is insulted, not being called a slur. A slur is a very, very bad term. I mean,
Ma'am,
the B word.
a slur is just a word or a phrase that the group of people find insulting to be called.
Yes, absolutely. I understand that, but slurs and insults are two different
Ma'am,
things.
it has to be perceived as an insult to the group of people to become a slur.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, this isn't my point. I've gotten very off the topic. What my correct point was, or what my point was, sorry, is that cis is not supposed to be an insult whatsoever. It's used in chemistry to explain biological women and biological men. I'm not, it's supposed to
Chemistry
be,
does not explain biology, darling.
well,
So
it's
cis
like,
being used in chemistry could not explain biological men and women. Sorry.
okay, I understand. I'm just saying that that is like the term, like, cis is just biological women and biological men. It's not insulting biological women
It's
or
not
biological
biological
men.
women and biological men. And even if it wasn't created to be used as a slur, as I said, the R word wasn't be created to use as a slur. The R word was created to describe a group of people with a certain characteristics. But the group of people that are being called the R word perceive it to be an insult, therefore making it a slur. So the connotation within it doesn't necessarily take away from the fact that the people that it's being used to us to describe perceive it to be an insult.
Yeah, I understand, but I just don't like understand in my head. I don't get it how it's insulting.
You get it, but you just don't want to get it. And
No,
that's the issue.
I really don't understand how it's insulting when all it is
It's
explaining is.
insulting because we find it to be an insult. It's degrading to call actual women cis. You're taking away from our womanhood and giving it to males. It allows for males to be in our spaces. It allows for males to win women's competition that we fought hard for, right? We fought for women's rights, and we don't have that anymore because women's rights also include males. So there's no protection for us within society, right? It used to be considered a felony for a grown man to put his hand on a woman because of his strength, the strength differences. But now it's nothing. A male
Okay.
can go into the boxing ring with a female and beat her to a pulp, and it's justified because what?
Um,
You're saying that there are different types of women.
Ma'am, I don't understand what that has to do with cis. What does that have to do
Oh
with cis?
my God. You know what, darling? You don't understand a lot of things. And maybe what you need to do is go back to kindergarten. Start all over
Um,
from scratch.
um,
No one was bullied or harassed on this live. No one was bullied or harassed on this live. There is no hate being disseminated on this live. The person said that they were 19 or something like that, so that's not a child. I think they said they were 18 or 19. That's not a child. A child is a human being under the age of 18. Y'all didn't even know. Did you know that they changed the definition of a child? Right under y'all noses, they changed the definition of a child. Did you know that a child used to be a human being under the age of 18? They changed it. No, a child is a prepubescent human being. So now they're saying once you reach puberty, you're not a child. Have you guys noticed in news articles, they're not referring to children as children anymore? They're saying young man and young woman. Have you guys noticed that? Do you remember when the 4-year-old boy went missing and the police chief was on the news saying, he was referring to a 4-year-old boy, and he said, the young man fell into a lake. You know, they found him in a lake. They were talking about a 4-year-old boy, and they said young man. They didn't say a 4-year-old boy. They didn't say a toddler. They said a young man. That's what this ideology is doing. That's what this ideology is doing. They're pushing for children to have bodily autonomy. The live is for educational and entertainment purposes. We do not tolerate bigotry or hate. We do not tolerate bigotry or hate.
Hi, Shanta.
Hi, good day. How old are you for TikTok?
I am 22.
Awesome. What are your thoughts?
My pronouns are she, her.
We don't do that game here. We don't play that game here.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I thought that was the question you asked. You were just a bit far from the phone. I apologize. Anyways, I wanted to get onto the discussion.
Bring up the next guest, please. The guests are not connecting. The live is about civil discourse, educational and entertainment purposes. No one is being harassed or bullied on this live. No one is being harassed or bullied on this live. The live is for educational and entertainment purposes. We don't tolerate bigotry or hate, transphobia or homophobia on this live. We don't tolerate any form of prejudice or hate to any minority group. Hello, good day. How old are you?
Hello.
I'm 19.
I'm 19 too. Can I start?
Oh yeah.
Somebody was here before you. Go
Oh,
ahead,
then
guest.
I'll mute.
All right. My birth year is 2005, by the way. But so I want to talk about how you said woman isn't a noun but an adjective.
It's a noun and an adjective.
I don't think it's both. I think it's just a noun that can modify other nouns. So I'll give you an example. The first woman president, you know what I mean? So woman is still a noun there, but so is president.
Oh, so the term black woman, what does that mean?
A black adult human female.
So why would they put black to the word woman? Are they using the word woman there as an adjective there?
No, they're using it as a noun.
They're using it as a noun. All right.
Yeah.
So when you say woman, adult, human, female, is it being used as an adjective there?
No, it's still a noun. I'm saying that a noun.
I'm going to ask you
The word
something. A
woman
noun
is
is
a
a
noun.
name of a person, place, or thing,
Yeah, a
right?
woman is a person.
What's an adjective? What's an adjective?
An adjective is something that describes a noun, right?
That does what?
Describes a noun.
An adjective is something that describes a noun.
Yeah.
Oh, continue.
So I mean, like I'm not saying that males are women. I'm saying that the word woman is not an adjective. It's a noun that can modify another noun.
So if the word woman isn't a noun, why does it describe the adult human? Isn't if word woman isn't an adjective, why does it describe the adult female human?
So no, an adult human female is what describes a woman.
Adult human female describes the woman.
Yeah.
So you're saying that there are different types of women.
No, I'm saying that the word woman isn't a noun, or it is a noun. Now you're confusing me. No, it's not an adjective. That's my point.
So an adjective is a descriptive word that describes something.
Yeah, but a noun can modify another noun. It's still.
I'm
it doesn't
asking
change
you,
the fact
you
that-
listen, whenever you think that people got you in a got you moment, you deflect. Just answer the question. It's not a got you moment. I'm literally asking you a question.
Okay.
So the word woman, when it's describing the adult human female, how is it being used?
As a noun.
It's being used as a noun? I thought adjectives were things that describe things, and nouns describe people, places, animals, and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm saying that an adjective is what describes a noun. Adult.
Hold on, hold on.
No, you're good.
This is so rude. Hold on, I'm literally making beetroot
That
and
sounds
carrot juice. Hold on. Let me get out of here. It's so disrespectful. Go ahead. So you're saying, and let's get this clear. Say what's an adjective again, because I'm slow and I don't understand.
I never said that. I think you're
I'm
smart.
saying that. So describe an adjective for me.
Something that describes a noun. And that's the last time I can look it up, actually. Let me look it up.
Yeah, maybe Google will help us to understand better. He knows all.
While she's Googling, can I just clarify something real quick?
Sure.
I bet. I'm 19, born in 2005, all that. I just had a quick question. I'm actually gonna talk about what you have, like cis is a slur. Are you stating that as a fact or as an opinion?
I don't share my opinions.
So you're stating that as a fact?
It doesn't matter what I'm stating it as. It matters what is.
Yeah, so are you saying it is a fact? Is that crazy?
All right, continue. Did you find what an adjective means?
I did. Okay. It says adjective, a word or phrase that modifies or specifies the meaning of a noun or pronoun, but just
that
noun.
specifies the meaning of a noun or pronoun. Say it again for us.
A word or phrase that modifies or specifies the meaning of a noun or pronoun.
Say it again for yourself.
A word or phrase that modifies or specifies the meaning of a noun or pronoun. So I'm saying that adult human female is an adjective for a woman.
Wonderful. And the word woman is what?
A noun.
So when I say a woman, what am I describing?
An adult human female. But you're just like reversing the definition.
So the word woman in this instance can be used as an adjective and a noun.
No, that's not true. I'll use your example because you said black before. So if I take...
Ma'am, if the word woman describes the female human form in the adult stage, and a woman is a noun that describes the human female form, how is woman not an adjective as well?
Because it's a noun that modifies another noun. I mean, you can look it up if you want.
All right, so the noun modifies another noun. Show me how the noun modifies another noun.
So if you take let's take this example. The first woman president, right? So woman is still a noun, but it's modifying the noun president. It's not an adjective, it's a noun.
So woman there is being used as an adjective to
It's not,
describe
it's
the
a
type
noun.
of president that we have. Ma'am, it's either you're saying, okay?
Uh-huh.
Why would woman be added to the president if it's not being used as an adjective to describe the type of president that we have?
Because it's a noun that modifies another noun. That's
And what is an adjective?
An adjective.
And what is an adjective?
Let me look at it again.
Mom, you just said it. It's a word that describes a no. Oh, the blood clot this.
Why are we yelling? I'm so sorry, but like,
Mom, because you're saying the things and then you're just being intentionally obtuse to try to prove yourself right, and it's agitating. Because you just said it. An adjective is a word that describes a noun. And you put the word woman on a noun to describe the type of noun. You put the word woman on the word president to describe the type of president that you have. President is a noun.
Listen, I agree with you. I'm saying that.
Oh my God! Yes. You're laughing because you realize now it clicked. It clicked.
No, I'm laughing because you're yelling at me.
I'm yelling because, ma'am, you're saying it yourself, and then you're thinking you're smart when you're proving me right.
I am proving me right.
Ma'am, why would you put
let's look it
woman
up.
in front of president
Let's look it up.
if the word woman isn't being used as an adjective?
So it says, while woman is a noun, it can function as an attributive noun, modifying another noun, and may appear to function.
Okay, so it's an attributing noun,
but it's not.
And an adjective is a noun, a word that describes a noun.
So I'll read it again. While woman is a noun, it can function as an attributive noun, modifying another noun, and may appear to function like an adjective in some context, but it's not technically.
And may appear to function as an adjective. Listen to this, guys. Listen to this nonsense. Woman is an attributive noun that is used.
No, I'm saying it can be.
To describe another noun and may function as an adjective. Could it be that they changed the fact that woman is a noun just because they don't want it to be used to describe the human female? To include males in the word woman? Because what the fuck is an adjective, an attributive noun? What the fuck is that?
It's a noun that can modify another noun. I'm saying it's not an adjective.
And function as an adjective.
No, it's not functioning as an adjective. It's a noun.
Didn't you just say that it may appear to function as an adjective?
That doesn't mean it is an adjective.
Answer the question.
I'm saying it doesn't. No, that's not what it's saying.
You
It's
just
saying
said in the definition just now that it may appear to function as an adjective. Didn't you just say that?
Yeah, I could say that the sky may appear to be green, but it's not green. That's
So
not.
why would the word woman appear to function as an adjective?
Because it's an adjective. Oh my God, an attributive noun. I gotta say it well.
An adjective noun.
No,
That is
that's
being
not-
used in the form of an adjective.
No, it says it can look like an adjective in some contexts, but it's not.
Then why did they call it an adjective noun?
That's not what I said. It's attributive. That's not.
Oh, attributive noun. So to bring forth some kind of attribute to what they're describing, right?
I mean, you can look this up if you want.
I'm asking you.
Well, I'm telling you what I'm reading. So
Yeah, isn't that what they're doing? By using it as an attributive noun?
it's a noun that modifies another noun. So it's not an adjective.
That can sound like an adjective.
No, it can't. The word woman is a noun. It's not an adjective.
Ma'am, you just said that it can sound like an adjective. Then you're telling me no, it doesn't. Which one is it?
No, I'm saying that in some context it can appear to be an adjective, but it technically is not an adjective.
And since when? Since when did woman become an adjective noun or attributive noun? Sorry.
Do you want me to look that up? I didn't think so. Okay.
I'd love to hear it.
So, when did the word woman become an attributive noun? It says all three nouns have been attributively, that is before a noun in order to modify it. Before woman, in fact, had been used attributively back in back to the 14th century.
All right. Can you look up if woman has ever been used as an adjective?
Okay. Has the word woman ever been used? You said as a subject. It says, while woman, it just gave me the same thing. While woman is primarily a noun, it can function as a descriptive word or adjective. So, hey, are you right?
Whoa.
Woman as a descriptive word. In some
Whoa.
cases,
Whoa,
woman
Issa.
can be
Say that
used to
again. Say it
modify.
again for you yourself and the others.